The Nurburgring Nordschleife Grand Prix here. We're currently in the qualifying session, a 30-minute qualifying session. You join us at around about 13 minutes or so, 12 minutes 48. But welcome to the Nurburgring here for the Endurance Championship in the Club Series. We've got LMPs and GTEs. I nearly said GT3s. We've got LMP3s and GTEs. A little bit of a tongue twister here as we can see Tsuki going around in her LMP3. She had a little bit of damage at the start of the qualifying session and had a little bit of understeer and oversteer and moving through the corners. We think she might have got an invalidated lap. It's not. It's an 8:41 for the first time, which is a relatively good lap. I don't know. I'm joined by my co-commentator today of Phoenix. Obviously, Phoenix races in the GT3 Championship. You would have seen last night. He did relatively well. Phoenix, how are you?
Yeah, great. Hello everyone. Well, I was talking about last night, I don't want to talk about it really. I spun out in laps, so that's why I just retired. It should be funnier tonight. I think we're going to find an interesting race with the concentration levels that are required. The concentration levels are going to see who's going to win this race, I think, more than driving.
Yeah, I think that will be the big factor. Obviously, here in qualifying, we have light rain conditions, and I believe the race will be in dry conditions. It is a 24-hour race. We will not be commentating for 24 hours. However, we'll only be commentating for a race which goes for about maybe 3 hours or so, including the 30-minute qualifying. But the race weather does look relatively upward. We've got medium cloud heading into heavy cloud, then easing off into some light cloud. So yeah, we should see some drivers maybe having a couple of spins. Obviously, worn tyres will be a problem around this track. And if you start to push the limits a bit too hard, the track will fight back and says, you got to know your limit when you're pushing too hard. We have the next couple of times set in with an 8-minute 33. It feels weird saying 8 minutes. I'm used to the 1 minute, but Tsuki is now out qualified by the two LMP3s in front of her, setting 7 seconds faster than her on her original lap. I believe that was probably the damage that has been rained, as we can see. Chipper Knight 77, I think that's how you say his name. Sorry, I'm still new to this thing. Cypher Knight. All right, let's get that right. Cypher Knight in the pit lane here. I believe he just went out on his laps and just getting probably refining a bit of setup after some conditions. Obviously, the drivers would have prepared for this in either practice sessions or their own private lobbies. But as we see, ID for Knights Forgets running around in the LMP3 class. It looks relatively competitive for now. I don't believe he's set a time just yet. He comes through.
He's 5 seconds behind. Oh, please, he's been 6 seconds behind.
Yeah, it's a very interesting timing sheet so far. Obviously, we will see some difficult conditions in the Nordschleife here in the Nurburgring in Germany. Always throws up a very good race. Obviously, the 24-hour race was not too long ago this year. As you join us, as we're following around the BMW of Red 15, who was the previous race winner, I believe. And I don't believe he was the previous pole in qualifying, but we'll see what he's able to do today. Where can he put the car? He doesn't put it necessarily anywhere competitive of 10-minute 0.5. The Ford behind him manages to out-qualify him a little bit. They're heading up into 9th place, I believe he moved up into, with Red's, he moved up into 7th place, with Red sitting in 8th. As we see, another one of the LMP3 classes come across the line. What are they able to do? I think they may be starting a lap now. I don't know if they've set a lap. No, they haven't. So no one's moved up the board. But yeah, very interesting conditions. Phoenix, what do you think of the conditions in this race? Oh, you're fine.
The conditions are not too bad, I think. it's nearly summer and we're going to get optimum tire temperatures in the race. It's more this rain in the qualifying that's the problem. I think we're going to see the drivers be a little bit flummoxed at first because of the changing conditions at the beginning of the race. We're going to have to adapt, and we're going to have to adapt on the fly to the new changing conditions. So I hope they've had a lot of practice of both conditions, because it's a very tough track and basically you can hit the wall very easily. And if you do that, you've got a very, very long lap to get back to the pits and repair it, and you're going to lose massive amounts of time if you sorry for
It's fine.
there's a bit of a stutter there.
It's fine.
if you get damaged, basically, there we go. I managed it in the end. If you get damaged early
yes.
on.
Excuse me, sorry. No, continue.
No, I'm fine. That'll do. I'm fine.
No, it's fine. Yeah, so practically summing up what Phoenix was saying, if you get damaged, then practically your lap could be over, and if it's internal damage like suspension, steering, or anything like that, the car will definitely try to fight against you. And around this track, you really want to be working with your car, the setup, and everything as these, I believe, should be roughly the final laps. If we see no one else cross the line with 6 minutes 23 remaining. Obviously, the lap times that have been set so far are 8 minutes 33. So, yeah, we're coming down to the final laps here, which is interesting to say with 6 minutes to go. But as we follow the BMW of DJ Luke, in his beautifully coloured BMW, I really like that livery. The M3, the GTE class, looking relatively competitive, running a little wide on the curb, throwing up some water, but I think that's still just trying to feel the grip around the car. But he's on a fast lap right now, coming through the, I think this is the final sector now, or is it still the second sector? I still don't know, it's such a long track. I should probably mention that we will be racing around 25.832 kilometers of tarmac and dirt, sweat and tears, really. So every driver will need to be on their A game to perform as much as, I said perform, very weird, to measure as much as possible throughout this Grand Prix. As we see the LMP3 class once again of Firmule, I think that's how I'm going to say it. Just coming up behind the BMW, the other BMW M3. And he's running a little bit wide. Red runs off the track. I think that's definitely going to invalidate his lap. And I think that's his qualifying over now, as the LMP3 got held up a little bit of Firmule. He's on his lap once again, just coming across the first sector times. What is he able to do? We can't really see the sector times, but quick board rundown just so far. So I believe it is Cypher Knight in first place in the LMP3 class, then ID Forgets, then we have Tasuki B-Spec in third, with her first lap being relatively good. I believe she's still in the pit lane, not coming out again for another run. Then we have Nico Zabra, and then Lonely HLB in fifth place. All the top five just there within the within the LMP3 class. The only person in the LMP3 class not to set a relatively competitive time is Firmule, which is not necessarily great, but we see Lonnie HLB. Firmule's actually headed back to the pit lanes, so he's going to be starting down the order within the GTE class, sorry. So that's definitely going to hamper his time, as we see the DJ Luke come through the final sector here, coming onto the straight now. What is he able to do over the BMW line, and where is this going to put him? It puts him position 8, which is relatively good. Second to the rest in these class, so a very, very competitive time from DJ Luke there, and we could see maybe a little bit of an improvement in the race, maybe setting, maybe aiming for that fastest lap, as we go back with Nico Zabra in the LMP3 class, looking relatively competitive there. I believe that's the Janetta, from what I remember, as we look at a blackboard, which was relatively helpful there. But yes, as we see Nico come through this twisty, tiny track now, back onto the main back straight now, coming up to oh, I forgot my corner names. Coming up to the final little bit of sector here. You can take the first part flat out, but then you have to start thinking about downforce and how much do you have left. As he's coming down the straight, 267, I think he's just going to get up to there. Maybe 268 down the hill now. No, that's 269, maybe 270. Yeah, we do see 270. He will be one of the last LMP3 cars to come across the line, getting just under, I think it was 2 laps or maybe 3 laps in. He runs a little wide, little over the curbing, but that's alright. He kept it relatively clean through there. Good acceleration in third gear, using a lot of the track to his advantage. Just going to come across the line once again. Where is this going to put him from 4th? And waiting to see the time. I don't believe that he has improved, so he does stay in 4th place. Not necessarily the best time he could have done there, but everyone else did improve. He's still got time to go for another lap, as we see Hijacker of Sweden, which is looking very good in that Porsche 911 GTE class car coming along the back straight. He might be able to go a bit faster than the GT3, the LMP3 cars, which might look quite speedy in the corners, but the GTE cars will definitely have the advantage on the straights. We can see he's just under 6 kilometers down, maybe 7 kilometers, as he heads up the hill now, but down the straight he's definitely going to get that higher grip and speed if he can. Maybe he's going to get to 270. Yeah, he's equaled it out. Maybe he's gone a little bit higher as he breaks down for the final little bit of chicane here around the Nurburgring. Obviously, we also have the GP circuit in here combined. That's how the drivers are going into the pit lane and things like that. As he's going to come across the line now, what is he able to do across the start-finish straight, coming into the Mercedes arena? I believe he did move up the board there, and yes, he's the fastest in his class once again, still staying in front of DJ Luke, and he's pulled off to the side. I don't believe that was a mechanical problem, but he definitely did well on that lap. One of the final drivers will be Red, who's got an absolutely destroyed windscreen. Phoenix, does that kind of hurt your pace when you have, I'm presuming he's driving from cockpit cam, so does that kind of knock around your pace a bit once you have a cracked windscreen and things like that?
I'm pretty sure most drivers would agree, yeah, because you got extra time, you got to take extra time to judge your corners because the damage is in the way, your vision's obscured, so yeah, I'd say for sure, every driver would say that would be.
So yeah, it's now the end of qualifying with 500 seconds remaining, so that's about, I don't know, how many minutes, about 5 minutes or so? I don't know. Yeah, everyone's coming through for their final laps here. Red's going to be the last man. He's sitting happy in 10th place with a 10-minute .5 time, a minute 33 behind ID Forgets, who out-qualified Cypher now, who would definitely be giving the other hand to one another. He's improved by a second there. Red has very, very good job, so we could maybe see him get in front of the car ahead of him. Not too sure on who the car in front of him is, but will definitely be an interesting one for him to try and out-qualify. Obviously, I believe he won the last race, so what will he be able to do across the line? He did out-qualify the car behind him, going nearly the exact same time, just 0.2 of a second off, which was quite interesting. But I think that's relatively everyone finished their laps except for Nico, who's still going around in the LMP3 class. Still got a long time before he can lap round. I believe that's probably more than enough time to get around. Maybe he might be running it a little close, but yeah, Nico's sitting in P4. He's going to definitely want to be out qualifying Tsuki, the lovely lass who might be able to defend quite heavily in the race. But if she has to start behind Nico, she could have problems going throughout the race, and maybe trying to trying to maybe have a little bit of a spicy battle between the two there. I think Cypher and Forgets will definitely be having a little bit of a spicy battle. I know that Phoenix, our man here, has raced with these guys. So Phoenix, have you seen, do you reckon anyone will be having any battles throughout the Grand Prix? And who do you reckon they'd be?
Sorry, excuse me. I think the lead will be ID Forgets and probably Cypher Knight, probably. And Suzuki, Nico and Lonnie will make it to many places. Dan should be, let's use 60 for a minute. He should be around about 4th or 5th. There should be a good battle for first with Cypher Knight here. And ID Forgets. GTE's Heike of Sweden is the lead candidate with DJ Luke for a good battle. And these two will battle more than likely, unless they get the concentration goes. And apologies again, sorry. The Heike of Sweden and DJ Luke will battle. Red will probably get a set 2 with them too as well at some point, I think. Marco should put some pressure on, and I think that's the lead for the GTE sorted really. Dennis and Fiamil maybe will have a go, and Vazy will, well, he's no slouch. I don't know why he hasn't set the lap. He hasn't set the lap today for some reason. He started right at the back for some reason. Well, maybe it's part of his strategy. Maybe he's just going for consecutive laps and just earning paces and picking up the pieces of other people's battles.
Yeah, I think that's what you probably have to presume. Just wait until there might be a bit of double wave yellows, and that's Nico straight to the barriers. That looked like a very hard shunt, and yeah, didn't look like his car was faring too well either. Straight into the bollards. He returns to the pit lane, and I believe that is qualifying over for everyone here. So the time's set. We have 3 drivers not setting times. I'm not sure because maybe of penalty, the 13 drivers we have here today. But yeah, the GTE class looks very competitive. The only LMP3 out of the top 10 was, I think it's Fiamil, out of the top 10. The top 6 locked out by LMP3s. Yeah, Fiamil was the one LMP3 driver to get knocked out within the qualifying session here. They definitely had more than enough time to set over 2 laps or so, so I'm a bit unsure on why some drivers were a bit hesitant to go ahead and set some laps, but maybe that's just personal preference from them, but we can never really know at this stage until you're there really experiencing it. But yeah, every driver looks relatively calm and collective as we wait for the countdown timer to go down. Yeah, so I should probably read through the qualifying results here. So we have ID Forgets with the first qualifying time of an 8-minute 31.6, being the driver on pole position for now. Next up is Cypher Knight 77, just over a second off from ID Forgets, setting 1 minute 33.5, 1.8 seconds off from ID Forgets. The next person is Tatsuki. She did very well in her beautiful pink and black Love Heart car. It looks relatively nice. I like the look of it. And it's an 8-minute 41.253 for her, 9.5 seconds off the pace from ID Forgets. And then next up we have Nico Zavra, who's been able to set a relatively competitive time, about 18 seconds off from the leader with an 8-minute 50.018, who was relatively good. I think that second lap would have moved him up the field a bit though. He looked very pressurized into the lap, maybe something going on psychologically, but he did look like he had a little bit of a spin and a crash, so the team will be working tirelessly before the start of the race to get that car repaired. Next up we have Lonnie HLB in the other LMP3 car. He's able to set a relatively good time, only 3 seconds off Nico in front of him, setting on 8-minute 53.375. He seems like to be on the pace, maybe with Danny or maybe with Nico. It's either or at this stage. Next car up is Danny with a 9-minute 14. He's 42 seconds off from ID Forgets. Relatively slow. I hate to be harsh, but yeah, he might be able to maybe improve in the race. The next car up is Hijacker of Sweden in the Porsche 911 GTE. He looks relatively good in front of the class of all the GTEs and one LMP3. He sets a time of a 9-minute 22. 50 seconds off from ID Forgets, but you got to remember that they are in different classes, different cars, totally different cars, different weights, things like that. The next up is DJ Luke setting the 9-minute 43.2, relatively good time in that GTE powered by BMW. Obviously a home Grand Prix for the BMW Grand Prix car here. The M3 looking very competitive. Next up is Red in the other BMW M3 with the hand-cooked tyre sponsored car. It looks relatively good. He sets a 9-minute 49.4, 1 minute and 17 seconds off the counterparts of ID Forgets. Next up we have Marcos HLB in the Ford. I thought he would be able to improve in that Ford. Looks like a good car, but maybe just couldn't get the set up right. Maybe those Michelin tyres just weren't working too well for him. Next up we have the drivers not setting a time of Dennis Minister. I'm not sure. Phoenix might be able to correct me on that. After that we have the Meisner.
Meisner, yeah.
Right,
German, it might be a home Grand Prix for him.
Yeah, maybe. We never know. I know that some drivers here are Italian. We have a couple of Dutchmen, so any Dutch fans out there, give a yalla. But the next one up is I can't actually see the rest of the grid, but I think it's Fermule next up in the LMP3, and I think it's Rizzi for 13th place there to finish out our grid. But a British man in the LMP3 takes pole, followed by an American, and then the lovely Tsuki from Japan. Nico, the man of Italy, showing his pace in front of his counterpart of Red being Italian. So definitely the Swedish man of Hijacker of Sweden could be challenging one of the LMP3s here on the straights, but in the corners I think the LMP3s have the upper hand as we get ready to go racing here back into the dry positions, and looks like Tsuki's right up the rear end of one of the other LMP3s, so very interesting. Phoenix, what should we see by lights out?
I think it should be interesting at the back with it was, I can't remember the LMP3. Who's the LMP3? Oh no, that's right. Yeah, females. I think we'll see a lot of jostling here. The cars are all very similar. The drivers are all very similar. We should see a lot of jostling in the first opening laps. There'd be and in the GT, there's no so for the lead, there's no standout drivers really in this group. Maybe a couple of weeks ago, before Sig Zonica, the lead driver, had to pull out. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting race. It should be fun.
Yeah, I definitely think it'll be an interesting race. I should probably mention that Fumil was moved up in front of the GT3 class, so he won't be starting down in P12. He's now starting in P7, so a little bit of disadvantage to the GT. The 6 GT3 cars behind him. As we bring up all the stats on the screen, you can see just how long the Nurburgring circuit is there, and the drivers will definitely be filling up on fuel. I'm pretty sure we'll see some pit stops here for tyres and probably fuel, and I don't know why the countdown timer is going off because we haven't crossed a lap yet. But yeah, we're just waiting until lights out is checkered flagged and we're getting underway. So yeah, probably my race predictions today. I'm thinking that Cypher Knight will be able to definitely get up in front of ID Forgets, maybe into turn 1, maybe it'll be a challenger down the straights through the corners. We don't know until the drivers get ready to go racing here. It'll be definitely an interesting Grand Prix, and we hope to start very soon. I think this is us getting ready to start. The lights are on. ID Forgets flashes his lights, getting ready to go. Everyone revs up. We go to 5 red lights. and lights out and away we go. Everyone gets off to a good start. Looks like Kazuki got not the best of start. ID forgets, and I think there's another car around, and that's one of the Chevrolet, the Corvettes hitting the rear wing. I think that was Fiumil who had a little bit of a problem there down in 13th. We all head down into turn 1. Cypher Knight got the advantage over ID forgets. They all head into turn 1. Maybe a couple of them forgetting that the track turns in. There's a little bit of argy-bargy between the two of Nico and ID forgets. So the Porsche of Hijacker of Sweden moves up in front of Tazuki, I think that was, who didn't get the best of start. She's going to be a challenger into the corners, and that is one of the Porsches round, and everyone slows down to make contact, and that was not the cleanest of starts. I don't believe we'll see a safety car. That's the Ford letting a lot of people through, so maybe the Ford might have some mechanical issues. We're already leading by just over 7 seconds from Cypher Knight, and one of the Aston Martins trying to go right around the outside there of the BMW, wasn't able to get it through just yet. But it's definitely a very, very interesting Grand Prix. The two BMWs might look to have a little bit of some sort of battle. They've got their lights on. He goes through the Michael Schumacher S's, I think this is. No, it's not. That's the corners before it. I'm so dumb that I messed that up. But this start is very, very interesting, as that's one of the BMWs off now. Maybe got pushed wide, and I think he's in the wall. Yeah, DJ Luke, who's lost out some pace, will hope that he didn't hit the wall. And managed to keep it. Lonnie, you can see there as they all shuffle down into the long left-hander. Lonnie looked like they have a little bit of understeer and oversteer there as we head onto the Nordschleife circuit. This will be where the LMP3 cars definitely have the advantage now. Lonnie clouts the wall there, and that will give Tazuki, that was a beautiful downshift sound from that Porsche 911. That will give Tazuki the optimal line now to maybe have an advantage on Lonnie if Tazuki doesn't have any damage. I'm presuming she did from what a hectic start that was, and we should see Fermule down the pack, maybe making a pit stop. You've got to remember it's a long way, and that is one of the Aston Martins who's had extensive damage to the rear of the car, so we'll hope that he's able to continue. He cuts the track there. Let's hope he doesn't make contact with anyone. That's definitely going to be a slowdown time for him, I presume, or some sort of penalty. The front and rear of that Aston Martin is absolutely done for, so we've got to wonder what damage has that Aston Martin got of Dennis, who looks very, not necessarily very competitive. Wow, everything on that car is absolutely damaged, and we hope to see him maybe coming in for a pit stop. Now thinking about Cypher Knight just in front in the LMP3 class, looking very good, out in front by over 0.4 of a second to the counterparts of Nico, who sits right on his rear tail. ID forgets Nico and Gavra also all being connected in, and that's Nico going wide just like he did in his qualifying, so that might have given him maybe some sort of penalty. We don't know. I don't believe it has, as they all shuffle through now into the second sector. Nico, the only one not having his lights on in this little 3 bunch, so maybe he's saving some sort of battery power. We don't know. I don't believe he would be, but you never know. But yeah, that car that you're looking on the map that's lagging behind is Vermeulen, who had extensive damage at the start, I believe. I think he might have spun it. Yeah, no rear wing. So his car looks like a very barren Indy car, practically. He's over 45 seconds now down on the leader, which is not necessarily great. But what a terrible way to start the race. Just trying to get some temperature at the tyres there is Tazuki. Look for maybe the move on that Porsche red 15, and also, sorry, Hijacker of Sweden had a little tussle there of the BMW and the Porsche, a long-lasting tussle, even between constructors over the years, and the two LMP3 cars will just be thinking, I want to get around these guys as quickly as possible, but because of how tight this track is, it doesn't necessarily have the tightest barriers, but the tarmac that you're racing on definitely is not forgiving if you go over the curbs in the wrong way. But these LMP3 cars are going to be able to brake later and going to have the higher downforce through these long left and right handing corners. We obviously have 33 left corners, 40 rights, so it definitely gives the opportunity of the cars to get around the outside or inside or round side or upside downside to get around these cars, but it looks like Suzuki's maybe having some sort of problem in that Ginetta, and she'll definitely want to be getting past these cars. That's Lonnie in the Ginetta, very high-tech steering wheel that Ginetta had. But I think Suzuki might be making a move. She's letting Hijacker of Sweden know that she's in every mirror of him, as we just watched the inside camera from Lonnie. Looks like that's one of the BMWs of red clouding the wall there. This will give Lonnie an absolute best opportunity on this 78 car of red, who was a winner of the last race. He's obviously not necessarily the best driver in these type of conditions, but he'll definitely want to be getting past Lottie would definitely want to be getting past as quickly as possible, and Nico is now our leader of the Grand Prix, getting in front of Cypher Knight, who I believe Nico tried a couple of moves into the carousel section, so maybe he'll definitely want to be getting around the outside. Phoenix, what do we think of that start?
Well, I think some drivers have lost it at the beginning, haven't they, especially at the back. I saw Suzuki at the start. She just bumped into the front of the pole position car, Cyber Knight. She just I think Cyber Knight got a very, very slow start. So if she's just jumped, I think there was a jump start from Suzuki, so it must have been a jump start maybe. I think,
yeah, she did look like to have a slow start, so no, maybe it could have been a jump start, but maybe she regretted it once she let that clutch go. But we don't know just yet until we find out in the post-race interviews with the drivers. I'll definitely want to be talking to a couple of them and finding out what went wrong and what happened. But a lot of them look to still be calm and collective. Continue what you were saying, Phoenix. Sorry to cut you off a bit there, but continue what you were saying.
I think it's come up just like I said. There's an equal size for the project, just like I said at the front. I think Dan has moved up well. Dan's moved up well. He's in the RMP at the minute. And I think
he is.
It's going to be a very lonely race for Firmwheel after that incident on the start straight. A very lonely race.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely with damage like that, I think it would be a very lonely race. Especially just trying to get back to the pit lane, even with the 8-minute or so lap time. We still haven't gone through lap 1 here, as looks like that Porsche is taking a very inside line through the second carousel section there. So Phoenix, do you reckon that's just driver preference? Because Suzuki went really on the soft stuff, and Sweden decided to take a more of a banking type of apex, as they might go side by side here. I could have said wrong. The Porsche looks like it might be pulling away from the LMP3. They might go side by side, maybe 3 wide. What is this? They're going to go 3 wide, and it looks like Suzuki, and now I think that's Dan, going to go side by side. Now the Porsche, big winner out of that. That's 2 positions for him. Sorry, no, just 1 position, but Suzuki's going to fight back through the corners. She's able to go relatively side by side. That was a little bit of contact between the 2, so they're going to have to play fair for now. No, that's both of them in the wall, and that's Suzuki, I presume, out of this race, and I think that was maybe one of the Porsches upside down, maybe is rolled back over, but that was going to be an aeroplane crash either way, really. Suzuki, the big loser. Phoenix, what do we think of that crash?
I think too much with each other. I think one of them should have backed out of that corner because it's tight. Maybe a bit more. But racing's all about competitiveness. And if you don't take risks, then you're not going to get a position. You know what I mean? So look at that damage on her, on Suzuki. It's very it's called now. I think Racey's just took the position as well.
Racey, he's doing well.
Yeah, he's picking up the pieces like I thought at the beginning, and just like I thought at the beginning, he's picking up the pieces. Now in 3rd on the GT class. Now Dennis he's managed to get round.
Oh yeah.
Dennis.
Yeah, Aston Martin not looking good. Oh, don't damage the suspension. Okay, there we go. He managed to kick it out of the walls relatively there. Those two cars of Dennis and BMW will want to be getting back into the pits as quickly as possible. Aston Martin not necessarily looking too good. Don't know where Dennis was going there. Maybe he thought the pit lane was that one. But I don't think he knows where he's going. He's looking for the pit lane. That was a bit interesting. What was that about, Phoenix? Do you know?
I think I'm not sure. You can't, quite frankly. If you don't know the track, then you should race. You know, it's stupid if you don't know the track. You should know everything you need to know. You should know.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that one.
I think
Oh, he's got back at Mighty Forgets. That's very interesting. Sorry, we're 2 minutes. We're 2 hours and 19 minutes remaining, guys. We're gonna try and keep our voices going as long as possible. For me here in Australia, it's about 5:30 in the morning, so I'm sorry if I don't sound as electric as I possibly could. And I think for Phoenix there, it's relatively late in the night, so us two are just trying to keep the faith relatively in this stream, and when there's not necessarily that much action after lap one, we've just got to try and keep as calm as collective. And I think as Phoenix will agree with me there, during endurance races you kind of just have to keep calm the whole time, and I'm trying to distract myself with things like eating a bowl of crisps, which will serve me well for the next 2 hours and 18 minutes at this time in the morning. But no, everyone looks very, very good racing around here. I think the action will start to spice up once we see some wear and fuel starting to deplete, and some drivers may be going for a higher strategy. Speaking of that, Phoenix, what strategy do you think we'll be going for today?
Me personally, I'd go for as much fuel as possible, last as long as possible, and hope to earn the consistency and gradually speed up because of the fuel use. I think that's probably my strategy. Drivers are looking for something to go faster first. My strategy usually is to have full fuel for the race and aim at consistency, but drivers are different. Some drivers are better at the fastest lap and the consistency of the driving style. It's just adapting to your own driving style.
Yeah, I probably think I have to agree with that one there. It's probably just adaptation in these endurance races, because you don't know what's going to come up, you don't know what you're going to have to deal with throughout the race, and definitely some drivers have showed us that now. As for Lonnie, he adapted very, very well. I don't believe he actually has any damage, nor does Marcos in the Ford have. I think both of these will be looking good for position. Both of them in P4 and P5 respectively. I think Marcos leading his class in P5 as Red and Hijacker of Sweden have moved down the grid. I don't believe Hijacker came in for a pit from what I can remember. Did Hijacker come in for a pit, or has he decided
he was involved in that crash with Suzuki? He should have. I don't see how now. Stayed out. He's damaged.
Yeah, that's very interesting. As we see once again the two of these two boys going once again, of Nico and ID Forgets once again, just trying to follow each other on the camber of the carousel once again. Go ahead, what you were saying.
Oh no, it's just it's Cypher Night, not Nico's got that. It's Cypher Night.
Oh, okay, it's Cypher Night. Well, that's very interesting. Yeah, Nico's fallen back by 8 seconds. I probably should have recognised that. So yeah, these two are definitely going to go head and toe with positions throughout this Grand Prix. They've just got to not do what Suzuki and Sweden did, where they just lost position and dropped it on the fast corners around this track. We're going to be starting to maybe come up to some lap cars very shortly, maybe in the next, I don't know, 20-30 minutes or so, with these drivers. These drivers starting to come in to play here. But yeah, these guys look very calm and collected, maybe just trying to save some tyres and running lean fuels throughout this Grand Prix. So yeah, coming through the final fast section of this track, it's a lot of air time you really get over the sudden crests and dips and things like that. Running wide, it was Cypher, who ran wide, and then ID Forgets followed him through the dirt there. But lucky one another is just following each other, and oh, that was a bit of understeer and oversteer for ID Forgets, who was maybe a little bit forgetful there on what gear he should have been in. He was sitting in third, but went down into second momentarily, and didn't follow the same line as Cypher. So maybe those two, that blackboard just keeps getting in the way. Maybe those two trying to do some different strategy, but this is where ID Forgets is going to definitely get a good run. You can see on just how much faster within that slipstream. He's going to head out into the wind now. They're going to go side by side, and I think this is where Cypher's going to let him go through. The two are still side by side, heading over the crest now under the Bilstein suspension sign, and looks like ID Forgets has just got the position there. It's a no-brainer really to overtake Cypher there, who I think recognised that he was clearly going to overtake him, but this might give Cypher the advantage onto the next start-finish line straight, who he might be able to get round the outside or up the inside into turn one. Excuse me, I yawned again. Up the inside at turn one. We still got green lights here, so yeah, Phoenix, go ahead. What were you going to say, buddy?
I was just thinking Nico was messed up somewhere and we don't know where, because he should be at the front of that before getting the cycle still already. He's a GT4 driver, but he's this year, but he's filling in for I think it's Sig he's filling in for this race. And I think, well, Sig was the leader of the championship, so he had to pull out. And I think it's his first race in the LP, I think, so maybe he's not used to it, and he's just lost a little bit of control, not used to the car, because it's much faster car in LMP to a GT4. I think he should be further up for him myself. I think he shouldn't be so far behind.
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree with that. He shouldn't be so far behind. But yeah, 10 seconds is a big gap, not necessarily in time, but in space on this track. Excuse me. In time, but not in time, but necessarily in space on the track, and how the drivers are coping with this race psychologically. We're nearly 30 minutes in or so now. So yeah, that's really looking very good in the Corvette. Quite a nice car to drive, that one. I like the livery on it as well. It looks relatively nice. He's followed by, I believe that's Lonnie, who did Lonnie come in for the into the pit lane, or I don't believe he has. So yeah, these two are definitely for position now. Until the first set of pit stops after... When should we see the first set of pit stops, Phoenix?
Let's see the fuel. What's the fuel? The tyre wear will start to come into effect about half an hour from now, and the fuel should be 60 at the front. They're all going for around the same. Most of these are doing the same. Some have got a little bit more, some a little bit less.
Oh, that's...
With the fuel, I was thinking you'll start seeing pit stops in 25 to 30 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Maybe 3 laps, all told. Maybe 3-4 laps.
Yeah.
And we'll be seeing pit stops, I think.
Yeah, definitely these cars can't run for too long without wearing some tyre wear and wearing some fuel. But I believe that's red in one of the GTEs coming into pit lane. That's Fermule, is still down by 4 minutes or so. He'll be trying to catch Dennis in front of him to grab some sort of position in this race. Excuse me. Yeah, he'll definitely be trying to grab some sort of position in this race, as yeah, he's definitely struggling somehow, Fermule there. So we saw Dennis there in the Aston Martin just momentarily. Still got that line out Vermeil has. But yeah, like I was saying, Red's still in the pit lane. I don't believe he's come out yet. He's still quite some way behind. No, that's him out of the pit lane now, or out of his pit box at least. And will those two pass him? I don't believe so. Yeah, he gets out of the pit lane, that BMW, quite well. Was that for fuel? It looks like it was fuel. Maybe like fuel and tyres?
Yeah, maybe tyres as well. I think his tyres have changed. Might have gone into the hards. I'd be on the hards now for the duration, to get the life hardening for the 2 hours for the next stint. First pit stop. Maybe start on softs and come out, change for hards when the softs have run out for the first time. That's what I'd do, I think. Get the fast start and then you get the duration, the length of the endurance bit. I think that'd be the best strategy with the tyres.
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree with that one. That will probably be the best strategy. Is Red not running wide's not necessarily the best thing. Lonnie's still trying to catch up to the Corvette in front of him. I think that's Rizzy. Yeah, Rizzy Real. Again, just sitting behind him by about 7 seconds. Rizzy is just in front of him by just over a second. So not necessarily the biggest of gaps in the world. But he'll definitely now be trying to push as hard as possible to try and get that position on Rizzy Real, to get past that Corvette as quickly as possible to start. I'm just looking down the field to see where they are. What position are they? 4, I think that is. Yeah. So Rizzy Real's in P5, so he'll definitely trying to snag a position for P5 and 6. As it looks like the Corvette driver running a little wide. Phoenix, was that down to setup or was that just driver error really there?
Lap took one and was quite good. Right there as well. It was a bit past the chase line. He was supposed to do a dual drive. Like I said before, he's done well. He's up to second in his GT. That's why he got lost in his pieces. He's done well for him today. I think as long as he knuckles down and makes no mistakes and keeps it clean, he'll finish well today.
Yeah, I think
needs to keep an eye on Lonnie behind him and not push too much, I think. Just don't push too much, just like cool and calm. And I think he's secure.
Yeah, that's practically my rule of racing. I always go by this saying, cool, calm and collective throughout every corner. Even when you do crash, you just gotta not get hot under the helmet. And got to keep as focused as possible. Looks like all the drivers not opting to take the sloped side. Why is that, Phoenix? Is there some sort of reason that drivers aren't taking the?
Well, sometimes when you turn that corner, on your bottom, it's the incline, and it knocks you off onto the grass, and it causes damage to your undercarriage, so and you have to pit. So I think that's what we're doing. Maybe they've got a low ride height. We should have a high ride height around here when the track's bumpy. Maybe they've got a low ride height and the track. That's what we're going to the track on around the
I'd probably have to agree with that. Not necessarily the biggest setup guy in the world, but I do know how to set up a race car, especially for a racetrack like this, bumpy. Kind of like the Monaco Grand Prix circuit, a little bit like a normal road in real life. Obviously, this racetrack derived from that. But yeah, every driver, we're now 25 minutes in, so starting to get to the endurance part of the race here, and yeah, everyone's looking very calm for now. Still a long time to go in the Grand Prix, and still a absolute country mile for the drivers to climb. So yeah, every driver looks very good for now. Yeah, so Rizzy looking very good in that Corvette. So is Lonnie, looking to try and get that position on Rizzy. But this stage, we couldn't really predict too much. Speaking of that, Phoenix, if there were to be pit stops, would another driver go on to another set of the softs just to get a kind of double soft stint?
I think you definitely have to put twice at least. Twice at least, so if you can make it last, I think you do, but you've got to take it last. You can't make the soft last. I think in the GTA, if you're going to the softs in the GTA, you definitely earn if they are moving on the hard. Would you earn enough to be worth it is the question. I mean, I haven't tried this class myself, this classification myself. I'm more of a GT3 driver normally. But I was considering going into it, but I chose GT3. I haven't practiced in the cars, so I'm not quite sure what they're wearing. But most cars are the same attributes, don't they? You get the same stuff from the same problems, from the same like the same tyres, the same stuff on the same different cars. It's just the rates that change because of the different spec cars. I think Razy is best. I think he's best on the hard himself. Maintain his pace on the hard. He should be fine. I think he's got a nice second. Marco's is just in front. He's going to do the same. I think pit stops. I think the 2 pit stops should be at least, maybe 3. I think that we shouldn't see any more than that.
Yeah, I'm just reading down the fastest laps here, and we've got ID for Get, because I forgot, setting an 8-minute 10, but then we take a look at Nico, who's setting an 8-minute .7, which is quicker than the actual fastest lap in qualifying. So you'd wonder if in qualifying, if he was able to set that lap, he could have got on pole position. I mean, if a lot of drivers were able to set a good lap like they're doing in the race right now, they would have been able to get on a good grid spot, and the qualifying would be a lot better. It just shows that once you do just at least 5 to 6 laps of this circuit, you can really get dialed in. And if it was me, just before the race, I'd try and pump out a quick 10 laps or so. Maybe just, I don't know, an hour or so before the race starts. Just a couple of quick 10 laps, and trying to get the car as optimized as possible for me and how I feel in the car, to get just the optimal grid position, because around this track, not necessarily grid position means everything, but it is certainly a big factor to play into the hands of a driver. And Phoenix, would you probably agree that track position is quite a lot around this circuit?
Oh yes, for sure. It's really hard to overtake on this track. The best places are, if you can get right behind them on the straight that come to the end of the lap of the North Sleeve, then I think you can take you on the straight. But there's nowhere to take you, right from the beginning to the end. The best places on the Nurburgring. The best places is on the Nurburgring to take. I think the track position is everything in this race. You should, I think. Yeah. Might see, unless there's mistakes come into play more than anything around here.
I'd probably have to agree, and yeah, every driver looks relatively good for now. I mean, most of them are still very good. You should probably keep in mind that Cypher's dropped off by about 8 seconds or so to Nico, so if Cypher's had maybe a crash or some sort of problem with the car, maybe a little spin. But Heidi Forgets is now our leader by around about 8.5 seconds, and I think this might give the opportunity for Nico to maybe start to push a little bit and get around the outside of Cyprus just before the pit stops start start to come in with 2 hours remaining now. Nico gives a flash of the lights to maybe thank Cypress for letting him through. And yeah, he definitely gave a flash of the lights and maybe turning his flashes on. I don't know whether that was a thank you, I'm presuming it is. But Phoenix, why do you reckon that Cypress has just let him through like that?
I think damage just decided
From what we can look, maybe it could be internal damage like suspension, but then again, it surely would be showing on the car if he's had some sort of damage onto the car. I think it would definitely. It looked like it was like.
Well, maybe he just doesn't want to be pressured, maybe. Yeah, I was going to say, he just wants
yeah, there goes that theory. Of, I think we gave him a little bit of a commentator curse, but he's definitely. I think it's probably some aero damage at least now, and maybe at the worst, maybe some suspension damage. But he's definitely dropping back by a long way. I think that was over 4 seconds within, I don't know, 5-6 corners or so. But yeah, it's definitely starting to make problems for him, and maybe for Nico, who might be thinking that he might be trying to make some sort of undercut and maybe try and get around the problem of making a pit stop early and trying to
maybe he's trying to.
Yeah, that's what I was also thinking as well. Maybe just saving some fuel and tires until he can save it till the end of the Grand Prix. But at this stage, we don't really know. But every driver, we're only on lap 4 of the Grand Prix, so every driver will be trying to be as racy as possible with one another. And with racy comes a little bit of frustration, especially as we see Cypher here. Yeah, going down the straight doesn't look too bad. So we head to Lonnie now, who's still not able to get past Rizzy. I have a feeling, Phoenix, that Rizzy might just be faster and better than Lonnie at this stage. It comes down to skill and talent all at the end of it. So, do you think that Rizzy is faster than Lonnie?
I'd say so overall, but he's in the GT and Lonnie's in the LMP. I wouldn't say Lonnie's that bad, but he can't pass the GT. Maybe he's not bad, so he's just staying out. I wouldn't say Lonnie's that bad as well, but he seems to be just in a holding position, which makes no sense, because the GT is much slower than Lonnie's, and you can see how he races, keeping the time without damage. Maybe it's because, say with safe night, he's got damage, or he's tyre saving or something. It makes no sense. That raises last in this land. There's only one straight, and that's at the end of the lap. Coming up to it just now. This is where he gets his advantage, yes, but it's not long enough. It's not long enough for the lap, so to help, I think Lonnie should go up that.
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree with that right now. Yeah, it looks like Lonnie is definitely maybe, I hate to say it, but maybe having a little bit of a struggle, especially down this straight. In 5th gear, you should be somewhere around about 250 in the low. But yeah, it looks like that LMP3 just can't get to that top speed. I think that Lonnie's running a bit more aero than relatively needed. And I think that's probably a compromise at this stage for his car, and maybe thinking that it wasn't necessarily the best option to go to for a higher aero, maybe for a less amount of aero. He could be changing that in the car. We don't know just yet, but yeah, we can only really hope that that his car's still not necessarily having the worst amount of time, and oh no, that's Marco's into the pit lane for, I presume,
Marco's
and Lonnie as well.
Maybe they got a team structure. No, Marco's needs fuel. This is a fuel stop. So this should be a fuel stop. Although it could be tyres if he's on the softs. That's 35 minutes on the softs if he's on the softs. I think that's about right for a pit stop, isn't it? Maybe.
Yeah, it looks about right for a pit stop.
Lonnie is, he doesn't need fuel. He
Filled up on
tires.
fuel as well. He filled up though as well.
Oh, yeah, he's filled up.
Just,
I think that's tyres as well. Should be tyres as well.
yeah.
Full change, I think, repair and damage, getting new tyres and fuel as well. Should be a long pit stop for both of them.
Yes, it should be a relatively quick pit stop. But, yeah, they're out now. So, yeah, I think that was maybe for damage as well, Marco's. So, what type of damage do you reckon he might have had?
We didn't see anything with Marco. He's been clean as a whistle as far as I've seen. He might have walked the wall, maybe pushing it too much, but I didn't see any damage on his car the last few laps. So, there's that. No, he didn't have any damage either.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good line. That was good. Okay. Yeah, they're settling into position now. That's 3 mils.
Yeah, Lonnie. Yeah, that's a few mils. Still relatively long way down. He got past Dennis, who I believe. Dennis coming for another pit stop? I don't remember.
Yeah, I haven't seen. Oh, there he goes.
Ooh.
He is now. He's going for a pit stop now.
Yep. Lights up those rear tires. As much as possible to try and some sort of grip whatsoever.
He's got careful lap left time. Lose time again. He's fighting that car.
He is. I think that's got to be internal damage now, and it'll definitely be coming into the pit lane. It's the closest car in front of him. Vermeil just coming through on the straight now. He's just Dennis just absolutely destroying the race regulations there. He's just cutting every corner now. So yeah, we hope that he doesn't have any internal damage, or he's definitely got physical damage for now. And what time of pit stop should we be seeing from Dennis there?
Time or seconds at least with that damage. At least. It takes time to repair damage like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he has been. I reckon he's probably maybe got the quickest pace around here, because he's definitely able to get round cars relatively easily without too much of a negotiation within track position. Good downshift from Cypher there into second. A good exit as well. So yes, I think he's definitely starting to push now, and trying to catch up to Nico. Do you think that was a mistake letting Nico through, or was it a much needed thing to just know that he has the pace to catch another car when he wants?
Well, I think letting a car through is a bad idea in any situation unless you're being back. Unless you're being back, you should never let the car through unless you've got a special situation. The car's much faster. It's just pushing you too much like in a track like marathon. So maybe he was a bit unconfident in the idea of being pushed. Maybe he was just a bit unconfident. Maybe he prefers to follow. And then he feels he got to follow him and push him. You can't stay in front. Racing, because it's the whole point, you're supposed to stay in front.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very Interesting to see. Struggling a little bit. That's Dennis into the pit lane again. Obviously, we saw him come round. Oh, that was a bit of a jump on the rear end from Siphon's car. And once again, these guys are taking such wide lines on the dirt. It's so risky. I mean, these guys in the LMP3 class aren't running traction, nor are the GT3, the GTEs. So, it's very, very risky to be running it outright and putting the power on, things like that. Now we definitely got to think that that if the car is struggling through corners, then you've got to think, will you make a setup change? And I'm pretty sure in pit stops you can make setup changes to your wing. I'm not sure. Dennis might be able to correct me on that. But,
no, you can't. It's on the screen.
Okay.
You can only change your tyres and fuel and damage. That's all you can change. So I think you can change your traction control and your ABS on the menu of the driver. You can't change the downforce. Always change the downforce. Change the traction control and the ABS. It's falling back again.
Yeah, he has started to fall back again, so maybe saving fuel and tyres once again. But we don't really know at this stage once again. Yeah, this is the question now that Cypher will have problems with the car. That he'll need to sorry, I'm struggling to find some words here. He'll need to come in for a pit stop, and I believe that's not coming in for a pit stop. Nico's the first of the front runners coming for a pit stop, change of tyres, and I think that was Tsuki and Hijacker there coming through. Yes, it is Tsuki doing very, very well in that LMP3 car to try and get around the Porsche 911, I think that was. So it's definitely going to be a difficulty for her to try and get round.
It's just the hiker's one with the damage on the car. That was Dennis. Dennis is the one with the destroyed car. That's what we say.
Yeah, that is. Oh, Tsuki looked for the move there. She put it out. These drivers are going so much quicker now. I mean, the fastest lap once again now is, I think it's still an 8:07, but ID4 Gev's got a 8:09 the previous lap to try and put something to the man. These two might go side by side along the straight once again. There's not a 3 wide moment, so Tsuki's going to definitely be trying to look to get that position on the Porsche 911. She's going right up the rear diffuser of that car. Will she go to the inside, outside? I think she's just going to stick behind it. Yeah, you can see that she lifted off just a little bit there. No, she's flat back on the foot, and she's, oh, that was bloody close, I tell you that much. Yeah, 270 Ks, you don't want to be necessarily getting that close in sports car racing, but these two this time, they didn't smash into the barrier and flip their cars. Phoenix, once again, what do you think about that crash between these two?
Oh yeah, we thought it was a bit of, it's just it's fast corner, isn't it? And side by side, it's very difficult to manage your space, but I think they just came together because they were pushing too much on each other. They should have been more careful, both of them. They pushed too much on each other.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about it. Well, Suzuki was on the inside. Well, no, so shall I ask?
Ooh, no. Oh, the Porsche was so lucky not to, that he was able to realise that she'd spun, and he went into, he didn't go into the side of her. That was very, very, very lucky. Not see the two have some sort of contact there. Yeah, that could have been really bad. But now we see Dan come into the pit lane. I'm presuming, Phoenix, once again, is this going to be for fuel and tyres?
I'd say so. He's got 30 litres of fuel. I'd say same again. Fuel and tyres. Full change. Any damage sorted. Full change. Around full fuel. I'd say go to hard, like I said before now. For the long stint. Got an hour 45 left. You need to last. Maintain consistency and stay on the hards. I think you can earn from staying on hards more than the softs in the long stints really. I think it's better to go for the endurance rather than the speed in the long race.
Yeah, it's probably definitely better for to go endurance instead of speed in these races, because if you're pushing too hard too fast, then you're over and done within a matter of seconds. Because if you spin, you got to remember that the car's not going to be so forgiving either in the last time or within different stages of the Grand Prix. As we see Marco's coming up to one of the BMW, I think that's in front of him, of DJ Luke, who looks to have some damage and did a quick little wheelie there, so definitely showing his skateboarding skills around this circuit. But yeah, that was very, very interesting to see him hop up on the curb like that. I think was that something to do with
He just missed the chicane. He just too fast into the chicane. Marco was pressuring him, he's broke today, and he's too fast into the chicane. So that was a little bit of misjudgment.
Yeah, and he's done it again, but clouded the wall, and that's Marco's got damage now on his front end of his car, I believe. So that's going to be necessarily great for the two of them, but yeah, very, very interesting to see that DJ Luke is starting to struggle now in the early parts of the Grand Prix. Not necessarily early parts, we've got an hour and 43 minutes remaining, so still a long time to be racing for these guys, and definitely we'll start to head into the night time now. We started at 10 AM, so we should start to see, we've got a yellow flag in the middle sector. I wonder who's that for. We've got these two coming up to it, so I think we'll stay on board with those two if we can. I think that yellow flag's gone now. But these two should be catching up to the car in front of them very shortly. I think it was one of those two, of Tsuki and Hijacker, because that was where the yellow flag was. So it's not necessarily great between the two, and they weren't able to avoid each other once again. Tsuki and Sweden just like peas in a pod, really. So yeah, it's very interesting so far to see these guys battling and how they are. It doesn't look like there's necessarily too much damage for Tsuki, who looks like not to be struggling very much within the early parts of the Grand Prix. I reckon she's just playing it calm, collective and consecutive to try and get, I'm not sure where she finished in Algarve, but she definitely was able to set the pace and show that she definitely is a deserving driver in this league. Obviously, she's doing very well in a beautifully pink car once again. I like it very much at this stage. Yeah, she's doing a very, very good job. And yeah, everyone's still being very calm, collective, the early starts of the Grand Prix. So yeah, Phoenix, do you reckon the night time will start to play a factor on these drivers?
We should see some night time, yeah, but time progression's there. There's time progression in the lobby is there, so just smashed your headlights, you're going to come in and repair them. For next pit stop.
Yeah, I was a little bit concerned about that, especially when I saw that she had that problem early on in the Grand Prix, and then I started to think that she's probably going to have to have to make the change to another pit stop. So I reckon she might extend it a little bit on this stint, so that because she knows that night time is coming, and they're going to go side by side now once again. I think nearly into the carousel now. So they're going to have to be very, out of the carousel now. They're going to have to be very, very careful, these two. The track gets very tight, taking a lot of bumps with the 911 Porsche. Obviously, you can see on how big that Porsche Tsuki goes right up the inside at 1 hour and 40 minutes. She did a very bold move there. I know she's a woman, but she definitely had big balls to get through there like that. It was necessarily not the best place to get through, but god damn, that was a beautiful overtake. What do you think of that one, Phoenix?
Very inspiring. If I could do that myself, I'd be very pleased. Very pleased with that landing there, baby. So very ballsy.
Yeah, definitely very ballsy. Because yeah, much like Monaco, we've referred Monaco. Oh, that's Cypher Knight into the pit lane. I wonder. Yeah, I think that's going to be for fuel and tires once again. Obviously, he's got that those British flags and things like that all on the car. Even I don't even think he's British, is he? I'm not sure.
American.
As we've lost one of our. He's American, so he's got the British flag on there, which is a little interesting. But we do have our first retirement from the race. I believe that was Red who just disconnected. So unfortunately, he's had to leave, which is not necessarily great for his race. But we are now down to 12 runners, so that leaves a lot more drivers. With contentions of getting points, only 2 drivers are going to be out of the points now. So it'll be very, excuse me. Oh, I keep yawning. Oh, there you go. I fixed myself. Sorry, it's 6:15 in the morning for me. Still not getting necessarily acclimatized to the conditions that I'm in. But the conditions that these drivers are in will definitely start to slowly tire them out, with only just an hour and 30 minutes remaining. Trust me, those 30 minutes will go by very, very, very quickly. Or even that hour, as that's Marcos off the track. He kept his foot in there, so it was definitely interesting to see him go off the track like that, on arguably fresher tyres. I think that was that driver error once again, Phoenix?
I think so, yeah. I don't think he's got the wear the minute he's been in. I don't think he's got the wear, the wear the damage. I think he's just lost concentration.
Yeah, it's one of the problems.
I think he needs to give himself a jolt. He's making little mistakes like that, because any little mistake around here, you know, no sleep and you in the wall, and that's it. That's your car room and your race room. As Fiamma found out.
Yeah. They're pretty harshly, as well as I think that's Hijacker into the pit lane once again in his Porsche. There's Fairmule. He's obviously got that new rear wing. Yep, we're definitely heading into the night time now. With sunset dawning upon the drivers, those lights will start to come into fashion for these guys. So it'll definitely start to be a lot of action into the pit lane. That's DJ Luke into there as well with Dennis. So excuse me, there's a lot of drivers starting to come into the pit lane now, and it'll be definitely start to have problems with these cars. And definitely will start to, drivers will start to need to dial themselves into the circuit now. 35 remaining now. So yeah, it's definitely getting to the business end, and we should be ending the race in
Good morning, I think it is.
Excuse me, it's early morning, I think, around about 9 o'clock. I think that's what I remember. So yeah, it's very, very interesting indeed. Some of these drivers will start to need to dial themselves in the circuit as darkness comes upon us. Obviously, in real life, it wouldn't get dark this quickly, but yeah, it's very interesting to see. Excuse me, very interesting to see the drivers start to have little problems around the track. Oh, was disgusting. I'm sorry about that. Have little problems around the track, and we've had a little bit of a change of position. Looks like Nico got the undercut worked on Cypher to get past him there. So it was a little bit of an undercut. Was that an undercut by Nico? I'm pretty sure it was on Cypher.
No, Cypher fell behind and Nico took him. Maybe let him through.
Oh yeah. So yeah, definitely very interesting between these two. So you're gonna have to start to think on about the track. Where am I strong? Where am I not? And where you're not strong, you gotta improve. But then that kind of lays off on where you are strong, and it's practically like that for the rest of the race. You just have to ease in and out of going fast, going slow, saving your tires, not saving your tires. You know, all the things you got to manage throughout an endurance race, and trying to manage everything at one time to try and get through the race as quickly as possible. Just excuse me. Excuse me. All right, I'm back in action now. So yeah, it's definitely a very interesting thing to see these LMP3 cars. And Rizzy, do you reckon the GTE cars have better? I'm presuming that they have better tyre wear and better fuel wear, but the LMP3 cars have seemed to have a little bit of wear on the tyres a little bit more. So we got to start to think: did some drivers go on to another set of the softs and trying to go softs then hards? Or are they trying to go soft then hard then soft, or maybe just soft hard depending on how the track feels. Especially at the night, it's going to start to get a little bit colder in the track conditions, so drivers will have to start thinking about how the car's going to react around corners. And Phoenix, do you reckon that will start to impact them on their pace?
Yes, definitely. The tyres will get very worn down in this game very easily, and the softs even more so. In the LMPs are lighter cars, so I think the tyre wear in the LMPs is less than the GTs, as far as I remember. I've never seen how it this class, so I don't know. I haven't raced the GT LMP3 class, so I can't remember. I've had a quick go in the LMP3, nothing serious, nothing grotesque, but
yes.
The LMPs, the lighter car, they go faster around the corners, but I think the weight is. It depends how you sort your suspension. I've got to remember with your dampers and that.
Yeah.
Could you out your dampers and your suspension? If you get your dampers and your suspension, take the weight off the car, off the tyres, and put it onto the suspension and dampers. So I think it just depends on all setups, really. You know, about the tyre wear. Depends on the setup of the tyre wear. People are good at it, but people aren't good at it. And the endurance race, I think you'll start to see concentration issues starting to come in soon.
Yeah, I'm presuming that's what's going to start to come in relatively soon around this track. Got to start to think whether drivers are going to start to feel a little more than just tired. They're going to start to feel that their performance is starting to drop off, and they're definitely going to have to start to think that their drive is even their car's starting to wear off, and starting to push as hard as possible. But I should probably mention that everyone's got a little bit of a partner here. Everyone's got a little buddy to be with, or most people. I know that Tasuki and Hijacker were close to each other for a long time, but Tasuki's been let go, and that's ID Forgets coming into the pit lane there. I think that was a change of tyres and a fill up on fuel. So practically the halfway mark through. We're an hour in now. The drivers have made their first pit stop, so it looks like they can go for about an hour on a set of tyres and a set of fuel. ID Forgets just proved that to us. So yeah, very very interesting to see.
There's a pit stop. Pit stop, I think we'll see. As long as there's no mistakes. One more pit stop and
No mistakes. It's the key word.
You must have been on the hard side before it gets, because I don't think the softs are lost an hour around here on the bumpy track. You must have been on the hard.
Yeah.
It's bumpy.
I'd probably.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. I'd probably have to agree with that one. He probably is on the hard compound of tyres, but if he was on the softs, I think they're pretty bloody dead for now. But yeah, definitely very, very interesting to see that he's been able to go on a long set. But I'll definitely be talking to him after the Grand Prix to find out what he's been able to do within the Grand Prix. And it's definitely very, very, very interesting to see these guys try and push a set of tires as long as possible. And we see what's happened when you do push a set of tires as long as they did. And obviously it impacts your pace pretty heavily. So yeah, it's definitely a factor for these guys to deal with throughout the Grand Prix. And you got to think, will these guys start to fall off pace when their tires start to die, or will they still be able to keep a right hand or a toe in there to try and get out? And Heidi forgets. Definitely got what he needed. He's still 22 seconds in front of Nico, and that first stint that he pulled out was very good. I'm presuming that the other two of Cypher Knight and Nico both started on the softs, so yeah, there'll be definitely some interesting conversations to have after the race between the top three for right now. Rizzy Real sitting happy in P4 with Marcos just behind him, following closely, not closely actually, following by about a minute behind him in that Ford. And then I believe behind Marcos is Lonnie, who's still going very well behind Lonnie. That's Hijacker and Suzuki, and Hijacker's off the track once again. Oh no, oh, that was really close. Once again, oh no, and Suzuki's lost her rear wing there, so that is not good. That those two have had a problem. Once again, I reckon it's, I don't know why these two keep crashing, but they're both going to have to come into the pit lane now. Suzuki's definitely got brake problems. The 911 continues of Hijacker of Sweden. So I don't know if you caught that one before, but yeah, this track definitely playing a factor on Suzuki and Sweden's relationship.
Oh, for sure. That's the third crash already, you know. Third crash in the same place as well, if I remember rightly. Two in the same place, I know.
Oh yeah. From lap 2?
Yeah, up 2 and the same.
That's right.
Yeah, up 2. They did the same. Well, no, they tried to take the corner together and they came together, didn't they, the first time and hit the wall. And that time he's just missed the turn. Hiker's missed the turn, shot in front of Suzuki, spun, and Suzuki's just hit him. I think Hiker's the at fault here. That last one. I think that was Hiker at fault.
Yeah, that one will be definitely a long time for the drivers to get over that one, because they've crashed so many times that you got to think what would this mean for their relationship and their championship, definitely going forward, and will they have some sort of problem in the near future to be able to redeem themselves. And within this stage, Suzuki's taking a very long time to get that pit stop done. So I think that's for a lot of damage that she's getting that done for at this stage. So yeah, it's very interesting at this stage to see them all having problems like they are. So
see if Hiker's up and down from that crash as well. He's fighting
He seems like he's still able to fight that car pretty well at this stage of the Grand Prix. I mean, what's it going to look like within, I don't know, 30 minutes even? The driver to be able to adapt to the car. So question is now, what's it going to look like in 40 minutes or so when the cars start to get a little bit worn. I don't believe that we have mechanical damage across here.
No,
so yeah, it's
we have
yeah, no mechanical damage.
Everything but mechanical damage. Everything but mechanical damage in this championship. Just it's engine failures and that. It's mechanical damage. It's random mechanical damage.
Yeah, it's oh yeah, I guess that's probably something to deal with. I mean, when your car doesn't play with you, you don't play with it, then it's a bit of a problem between the two. But yeah, this Porsche still looks like it's not necessarily too damaged. I think it might just be straight line and suspension damage maybe, but yeah, if it was suspension damage, Phoenix, would there be a big difference in Sweden's pace?
In Sweden's what side? Sweden.
Would it be?
Pace? Oh, it's pace, right? Yeah, I thought it pass.
Yeah.
Sweden's pass. Yeah, Sweden's pace. Now, if you have suspension damage on a big track, then it's going to be all over. The shock is going to be very hard to control because the shock of the car is going to be all over the shock. It's going to be dropped all over the place, the car. So I think it's fine in the suspension as well. I think it's so smooth if you have suspension damage, so it's still smooth.
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree with that one. An hour and 23 minutes remaining now. So we're starting to get into the business end of the Grand Prix. Us commentators starting to get a little tired. I can definitely tell you that the effects of fatigue are starting to set in as the nighttime starts to fall around this track. It's definitely going to start to be a definite problem for the drivers that they're going to have to start to face now. Hijacker of Sweden looks like to have a little bit of a damage problem. There's a little bit of a recap, and looks like they're definitely starting to have some sort of problems with the cars, and definitely going to try and probably start to push a little bit more now excuse me. Sorry. Definitely going to try and have to push a little bit more now and try to make these positions up. It's around about, I reckon, about 9 o'clock at night now where they're racing, so they'll definitely have to push a little harder to gain that advantage during the night. Apparently some fog is supposed to set in, so we might see a little bit of fog slowly set in. Obviously those clouds are going to start to set in as well, and that'll make shadows and things like that, so braking points could be affected. You could see some other drivers run wide a little bit, and I think that's more than likely going to affect someone's pace. Definitely, I don't know how Tsuki's going, but it looks like she's moving up the field relatively quickly.
She's left the lobby.
Some damage.
She just left the lobby.
Oh, she's left the lobby.
I think she's too happy with her hiker. I wouldn't believe so. That was a record move from her. Definitely got.
Yeah, it's
definitely got some issues after the race, I think, with these two.
I was looking at the board and I couldn't see her name, so I presumed that it was just a problem on my own, but I didn't know that she left. So that's probably one of the LMP3 contenders who looked to be very fast in qualifying, very quick in the race, but just being blocked by a hijacker of Sweden not get in. And I think that's Rizzy into the pit lane in that Corvette, went very long on his first set of tyres. I believe this is his first pit stop, and it'll be made during the night time. to get a new set of pit stop tyres done, running it very close on fuel as well, as he gets filled up as well. So why do you think that Rizzy was able to run his pit stop so well there, Phoenix?
Well, he definitely would have been on the hards, and I think he's just been, well, not slow, he hasn't been slow, but he's just been consistent and not taking any risks. He's had no battles, he's had very unassuming, he's never had a battle or anything. He's just been plodding along, constantly learning from a consistent pace. I think he's just been cool, calm, and just plodded along basically, and maybe not rushing his laps, and just going for consistency. And he's just played the car nice and gentle on the tyres, and not turn too much, not accelerate too much. He's just had his emphasis for it, because the other drivers have been a bit reckless behind him, haven't they? The other drivers behind him.
Yeah, but behind him and even in front of him.
They're all in position. He's in position on. He's in position on. How many drivers started in position on? Yeah,
That's
eight drivers at the start, from the start. 8 drivers in.
That's a lot of drivers to make position on in just one pit stop. Yeah, a factor that probably is playing into fact that he is running traction control, so that's probably going to be a little bit easier on his tyres. But I'm not sure if the real Corvette in real life has traction control. I don't know. Yeah, he looks relatively good in the early stage of the Grand Prix. Coming into the late stage of the Grand Prix now, late night as well, he'll definitely want to be trying to push as much as possible to get the most out of that Corvette for now. I presume that he's gone on to another set of the hard compound tyres after running them for this long into the Grand Prix. I'm almost certain that he can run them for another hour or so. So yeah, it's looking very good. A person that we haven't spoken too much about is Fermule, who's is still sitting happy in P10. He's moved up the field relatively well. I mean, he started in P7, so he's actually moved down the field. But then obviously he had a big shunt at the start of the Grand Prix, with I presume him not expecting that he was going to start in P7. Very, very interesting. Why do you reckon he was so slow at the start, and why do you reckon that first lap incident was such a problem for him, Phoenix?
He lost his back wing, that's why, basically. Someone shunted into the back wing, he lost his back wing at the start line. He's right from the start, he got shunted at the back wing, he lost his back wing. He had to go through the whole first lap with no back wing. He got to go nice and slow, very, very, very slow, around every corner, because he's got no downforce around the corners. And it's 8 minutes anyway, a lap, 8.5 minutes a lap anyway. So, you know, 8.5 minutes with downforce, it's at least, I'd say 12-13 minutes to do the first lap. So,
yeah, which is a long time to be out on the track kicking yourself a little bit, that someone else has messed up your race. Not sure who's that in the pit lane. I think it's Dan in one of the LMP3s coming into the pit lane. Yes, it is. So he's coming in, I presume, for another set of tyres and maybe some more fuel. He looks actually pretty good on fuel, but yeah, that's very interesting. What do you reckon this pit stop's for, Phoenix?
maybe a bit more fuel for the end of the race, and I'd say it's a bit early for the softs. I'd say probably the hards again. I'd say it's too early for the softs myself.
Yeah, another hour.
I wouldn't want to rush it. I wouldn't want to rush it in the night either on the softs either. I'd definitely go the hards in the night section. Just keep your pace fine and nice and gentle, nice and consistent. You're not pushing too hard in the night because the visibility's bad. There's no lights around the track. You haven't got your headlights, and I think I wouldn't push it in the night. You just get through it and come out in the morning and have a push it in the morning. So I do.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best option for him to get that. He's still waiting a long time in the pit lane, so maybe he does have some damage. I think that's one of the Aston Martins just killing one of the pit lane members there. as he absolutely ran him over, doing a little bit of Kimi Raikkonen in Bahrain. But yeah, it was very, very interesting to see that Aston Martin of Dennis in, who looked relatively good. We moved back to Rizzy Real now in the Corvette, whose deep tone of the Corvette muskers through the Nordschleife track as he tries to navigate track as best as possible. He came out in P5, so he's definitely going to be trying to catch the Ford in front of him to get back to that P4, and even at this stage he could be challenging for the podium position to try and get as much as possible as much as possible out of that car with the pace he's got, because right now with those hard tyres everyone else will be making expected another 1 or 2 pit stops. So it's at this stage very, very interesting to see the strategies going around in the Grand Prix, and could Phoenix we see another couple of drivers at least coming into the pit lane.
We've got at least one more stop, I think. If you're doing the softs, if people are going for softs, then definitely get a little bit of stop too. But I think if you on the Razy is in a difficult position because it's hard to gonna last about an hour. He'll have like 15 minutes left. I think he'll have about 15 minutes left on his softs. His last stint's going to be dead tiny on the softs, so I think it's a bit difficult his position decided what to do. Does he stay out on his hards and try to make it the whole race in their position with no pit stop, or does he be safe and go for the softs? Let's see, the softs about 25-30 minutes to go.
Yeah, I'd probably have to green up 30 minutes when we start to see the pit stops from some of the front runners. That's probably the best time to start going for a set of the soft compound tyres. That gives you optimum time to heat them up and get around about 2 or 3 laps in on track running to push as hard as possible, get around the track as quickly as possible. In the time that he's got, 30 minutes gives you about 2 or 3 laps. We saw that from qualifying to get the most out of the car. But you've got to remember that Rizzy did not go out in qualifying, so he might not know that he might be able to get 2 or 3 laps in with 30 minutes, but I presume with practice these guys should know every inch of this track and how each one of them's gonna approach each team's strategy and race strategy at this stage. A lot of drivers, I haven't actually looked too much at Dennis, who's finally got a car that's not destroyed at every moment. He came through Dunlop curb there, now into the Schumacher S's. I think they used to be called the Audi S's, but now they're called the Schumacher S's. As he comes now down into, I think that's turn.
Look at the visibility. I think we should look at the visibility in the cockpit.
Yeah, the lights are doing a good job, but still in front of you, if a car spins, you can't really see it until the last moment, really, at that stage. So it's very interesting, still very, very dark. Looks like it's coming into the early morning stages, maybe around about 8, 9 in the morning, around about 4 or 5 in the morning for these guys. So it'll be very, very difficult now in the Grand Prix to start to. Oh, we got a little bit on the curbing there, that was close. To start to think about their end strategy. I think it's under an hour now remaining. If I take a look at the time, an hour and 10 minutes to go, so nearly under an hour remaining. He went down very low there. I reckon, I don't know if is Dennis struggling with some sort of setup problem or maybe some sort of car problem, Phoenix?
Maybe not hard enough.
Yeah, it's this stage. Yeah, it looks like he's struggling an absolute substantial amount in this Grand Prix so far. I grab myself my doona cover off my bed to put it on, and meanwhile, as I'm doing that, Dennis is right round and throws a bunch of gravel onto this track. He restarts that engine but stalls it again, and looking like, I don't know if he got any damage, just got up on the curbing there, and I think that was probably driver error. Would you agree?
Oh, for sure, for sure. Maybe, I don't know, he just doesn't seem to be turning right with the wheel. He's not turning enough on the corners. He seems to be going straight through. He's not turning, from what I can see. You have to pull the high wheel hard, well, most of the way over, a lot of the way over for most of these corners on an air street. And it's just not doing it, he's staying straight mostly.
Yes, he definitely is staying up. Alright, so we have another disconnection, which is not necessarily great, and that's Dennis into the wall again, and that is the car an absolute write-off. So this Dennis guy, I'm sure Aston Martin will be looking at his contract for 2019, because it's starting to get slimmer and slimmer, like the night starting to get darker and darker, and then maybe a gloom of lightness start to approach. But yeah, it's definitely starting to impact Dennis. I think psychologically now that he's made so many mistakes that he's got to stop thinking about mistakes. He's got to stop thinking about yawning, and should start thinking about performing as expected, because you got to try and get that car up the field as much as possible. Lonnie looking very good here in P6, trying to chase down Rizzy Real, who's in front of him by just 5 seconds. He can just see him over the top of the crests as they come through the lights of the trees, under the lights of the Nordschleife people here in Germany. Obviously, a lot of people came here for the 24-hour Nordschleife, a substantial amount, to come and see these GTE and LM class come race. And they definitely showed that. I don't know, Phoenix, if you caught some of the footage from the 2018 Nordschleife Nurburgring 24 hours.
I didn't see it.
Oh, that's fine. It was an absolute banger. I loved it very much. But yeah, that was Lonnie spinning around. I think he just got some grass on the tires, and now he's like driving in suicide. It's suicidal to drive in these conditions without any lights. So it's you never really know what's going to happen. You can't see another car, and Lonnie's definitely seen another barrier there. As he rejoins back onto the track, I don't believe there's anyone near him so far. The hijacker is the only man near him, but he's going to have to get those lights repaired, and the rear end of that car repaired, because that is a danger on the track to me personally. Would you probably agree, Phoenix?
He's got no back wing. He's lost his back wing. He's got the back end as well. He's lost his back wing again. We've seen a few of them today, haven't we? The back wing's going. On the
yes, we have.
It's very difficult when you've lost your back wing around here. If I was having a straight track, and when you're fighting the car because of the damage, then without the back wing, it's even worse, because you just turn off. You just lose control. He's having trouble keeping all his car around the corners. He's losing a massive time getting around this lap down. I'd say Hike is going to take him.
Yeah, definitely.
DJ Luke is going to take him.
Yeah, those two have started to catch up to each other. Only seconds separating the two now. So they'll try to be catching up to one another as quickly as possible, and then catching Lonnie, who will hopefully be able to maybe come into a pit stop and stay out in front. So yeah, it will be a very interesting one, and I believe that's him there who's letting him through. Lucky those guys have very bright lights and they were able to identify the car as quickly as possible. I reckon that was Phoenix. Reckon that was a smart idea, letting those guys through.
Oh, for sure. You can't compete with the line. Damage. But Hyper's got fight off there, so DJ Luke's probably not going to die. More than to see. You can see there, he's got his rear back fight off.
Yeah, I think that is. So that might also be a hazard. I believe that DJ Luke can take him to the stewards for that. So yeah, it's a little bit of an interesting one. It looks like Hijacker trying to get that car on the track, but it's lucky these guys have headlights. They're able to see one another during the nighttime races. So yeah, it's very interesting as these guys come into the carousel section now. DJ Luke is just closing up on Aka so much, and these guys take a very interesting line through the carousel. They're out of the carousel now. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. So yeah, I'm not sure if that damage is starting to not help Hijacker as DJ Luke goes through, and Benny, do you reckon it is?
Yeah, it's done. He's hit his back end again. He's been slower. Yeah, I think. Oh, he's lost it again.
Oh.
The night time's really taking effect on some drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think Hijacker had a lot more pace during the daytime, as well as Lonnie there as well. Had a lot more pace during the daytime, but the nighttime, the conditions as they are setting in, it's definitely going to be an interesting one.
Nico's
drivers to
gained in the night as well, and I before gets in 5 seconds behind. Nico seems to be
it's
in the night.
not a big gap. I feel like Nico might have practiced some more in the nighttime conditions, but we can only hope that that other drivers have practiced as well. So it's a little bit of a plain and fair field. But at this stage, every driver will have to start to think about the morning, with it approaching relatively quickly. In the next 20-30 minutes or so, we should see some daylight start to come up again, or at least some dawn start to come up again. And there you can see Nico down on his lap time momentarily there, hopefully trying to set a new fastest lap. I don't believe any other fastest laps have been set, so yeah, it's definitely interesting for now. Nico's still pushing the most out of that Janetta, and I don't know if it's the Janetta or it's all the LMP3 cars, but they all look very very loose at the rear end.
Oh yeah, sure.
When they're going over corners.
Yeah, definitely. It's hit fast. Sometimes for like trucks and like corners, if you don't have it right, then you spin out. Almost be easy. Sometimes those guys, if you don't have the speed, you gotta set your car up to manage it just right, to make sure it's not too loose and not too fast at the tail. They're very, very fast at the tail, these LMP3 cars. Make sure you steer, make sure that they're very slow. Especially,
Yeah, I think that's probably...
Especially if you change direction all the time.
Yeah. I think that's definitely agreed on, as we see Hijacker and Dennis both come into the pit lane now. So that's very interesting to see both of them come in. Obviously Dennis had that problem, and so did Hijacker, but interesting that Hijacker now takes the opportunity to come in. Do you reckon this will be for a soft set of tyres, come into the pit lane?
Not yet, no. Still say hards. If he does the softs, he's going to have to come in again. I think he can make the hards last time. The hards would be the best option to the end of the race. different cards or different cards.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Sorry about that comment from Tsuki. That's not affected anyone a couple of minutes ago. But yeah, it's Hijacker coming out of the pit lane now, as we see Dennis still in the pit lane there. Yeah, it's very interesting that Aston Martin's still getting serviced as he comes out of the pit lane now. So it's a little bit detrimental for the for Dennis, who's now into the points, and that's Lonnie, who looks like to got more damage to the car. Wow, that car looks absolutely demolished. What pit stop? That car just looks like a cockpit. That's it, 4 wheels. What type of lap time will we be expecting here? Sorry, no, lap time. Pit stop time we'll be expecting here. Phoenix.
Same again, at least, well, the same as Suzuki before, at least, I think it was, like Dennis, it was at least 40 to 50 seconds, yeah. At least, does the wheel of it. When I have damage, it takes a very long time for damage to be fixed. Very long time, and it's absolutely destroyed the car there, so that lap, so it should be a long time. Absolutely destroyed it, and Nico as well catching there. Only 3 seconds.
Yeah, definitely having a little bit of a struggle with the car Nico is now. As I look out of my window, there's sunrise starting to rise for me. I don't know if sunrise is starting to rise for them, but it's definitely starting to set in here. As the drivers will definitely start to have a bit of problems with maybe the morning starting to approach, and maybe the evening starting to set. The evening starting to end. But we can only hope that the cars don't have much of a problem at all, really, until the end stage of the Grand Prix. We're under an hour to go now, so only 58 minutes left of racing here on the Gavra Racing Club Series around the Nordschleife 24-hour circuit combined, and that is Nico Zavra coming into the pit lane to get a new service on his car.
Fuel, I think.
And you're gonna have to
fuel and tyres. He should be. I think the hard's still for him as well. I think like ID4, I think he can make them last for an hour. Should be able to make them last for an hour, and towards the end of the race with the hard one. I think the hard's the best option again.
I think that's probably the optimal strategy at this stage for the cars, and it'll definitely be a interesting problem for the other teams. That orange and white Ginetta, the AQI car, still looking very, very competitive. I think it's fixing some damage now, as we see ID Forgets coming through into to just a second now. I believe that is not first sector, through the Grand Prix circuit. But yeah, very interesting to see that ID Forgets to be out the front the whole time. So yeah, very, very interesting. And would you probably agree that ID Forgets has been on the pace this whole race?
Yeah, he's been very consistent. He's pulled away from the battle for his second. Yeah, very consistent, very fast. I know he was still beating, but it's qualified and was absolutely qualified as that. I think his consistency's been back from both second and third. It's just told overall. But I think it's more valuable on the faster lap than in the endurance race. Consistency is more valuable, and he's just used his consistency to get ahead. I think he hasn't pushed it too much. Nice and smooth, nice and calm, just not taking any risks. no damage or anything. We'll see how they get some damage, or I'll see the spin from them. It's very clean race. Very clean.
Yeah, it's very clean. Surprisingly clean. With predicting on what happened on lap 1 was a very clean run from him. And it's been a clean run practically all race. And yeah, 55 minutes to go now. So once again, still really getting in the business end of the Grand Prix as the drivers really start to get their cars optimized into the morning stint now. Sunrise starting to appear, and a bunch of other variables starting to appear as well at this stage. So yeah, it's sunrise for me, so it must be sunrise for them then. And that's, oh, I think that was, yeah, that was C Cup. Sorry, not C Cup, that was Cypher Game. No, yeah, that was Cypher Night spinning around with Nico. So that was really not good. What happened there?
He just seemed to lose it. I didn't see it, but Nico, I didn't see it. He lost it in front. Nico didn't hit him, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe pressure, but being followed in the night. Maybe the headlights bearing down on them, blinded them or something. Or he was looking in the rear view. Or something like that.
So I guess it's only optimal that that's probably what happened. Sorry that we weren't able to give a bit more of an insight onto what happened there. Yeah, definitely a big shock to the system for our guys. I think that's Mark in the pit lane, coming in for the second stop. Coming in for the second stop of the, or is it his third stop? I can't remember.
Second for Marcos. Definitely second. He's had a clean race as well, to be honest. He just hasn't been as fast. Yes, definitely the cleanest drivers are definitely ID4, Crazy, and Marcos. Nico and Cypher have had little bumps. Nico's had a few bumps. Cypher's crashed out 3 times, but yeah, very clean from ID4, Crazy and Marcos. Very clean.
Yeah, I think actually unexpectedly clean. I thought we'd see a little bit more crashes and races from qualifying, but yeah, it looks like everyone else has been very calm and collective throughout the whole Grand Prix. So yeah, it's very interesting so far. It's everyone's been able to make their positions that they practically have needed to get them all done. So yeah, it's very interesting at this stage, and within the next 50 minutes or so, we might see some drivers start to push and set faster laps. And you reckon that will be the that'll be the thing that might happen? Excuse me. Yeah,
I'd say at the front, ID4 gets as well placed to just coast it home and take no risk. Between, you know, there's big gaps between everyone now, so maybe there's only a few drivers who can catch realistically. So I'm thinking Ike and DJ Luke are the closest to us. Very close.
Yeah, they
I think keeping it clean is more important than pushing now. Hope to earn on the other people's mistakes. I'd be thinking now, maybe the last 20-25 minutes pushing. If you're within range of someone else, I think that'd be the best thing to do. Last 20-25 minutes within range of push.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be trying to push as much as possible to try and get the most out of the car whatsoever.
This is the closest battle.
Yeah. Of Hiker and DJ Luke, they're the closest together for now, and this stage, do we think that Hiker will be able to catch DJ Luke? I think he's still got some bodywork damage, so it's a question that one might ask.
I'd say DJ Luke was faster overall, but I wouldn't count DJ Luke's had the earlier pit stop, so he's got more tyre wear to deal with. Definitely, DJ Luke definitely has to come in again, and Hiker doesn't, so he's on the house. So maybe just stay behind, Hiker should stay behind DJ Luke as close as possible, and then just take over in pits. Too flash. If Hiker stay close to the car behind DJ Luke, he can take them pits. Maybe nice and simple. Just go past him and wait until he comes next to him.
Yeah, definitely. I think he'll be looking for the best optimal option to get through the car as quickly as possible, and trying to be able to just at this stage get past Hiker, to get past counterparts of that BMW in front of them. Porsche obviously brought some good a good car to this Grand Prix, the M3. Obviously races in the GT3 class as a very, very competitive car. Obviously our man Phoenix here races it himself, and judging from experience, Phoenix, does that car feel nice to drive, or is it a bit of a boat?
Yeah, around the corners it's a bit of a boat, yes. On the straight it's nice and hard.
Yeah.
It's very big, this BMW.
Yeah, very long. Being at the Australian Grand Prix, the Formula One this year, I got the chance to sit in a couple of these GT3 cars and listen to them fire up, and I can tell you that BMW M3, a very, very clean and big motor in that car, and it's definitely a force to be reckoned with. Obviously sitting in it was a dream, but hearing it fire up while you're sitting in it, it's just a vibration, the rumble, and it's just a beautiful car to be around and sit in. And at this stage we see some drivers start to come into the pit lane of Cypher Knight, and looks like the BMW M3 starting to hold up the other car of Hiker of Sweden. So yeah, it's at this stage very interesting between the two Porsche and BMW drivers. So now I've got to think if each one of them's going to race cleanly and fairly, and that's the Porsche going off the track onto the dirt. I think that might have been a bit of a steering wheel problem within Hiker, or is that more of a some sort of damage problem there, Phoenix?
He tried to take and move too early around the corner and messed up, driver error. Definitely. He's tried to get in position for some racing again, and he's not too far over. He's trying to figure it out. He's trying to go not too far over.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd say Hiker's being very reckless here, trying to take DJ when he's got pit stop to do. Very reckless. Straight in. Maybe get him on the straights, get it nice and safe. Don't need to push around the tooth. Just get him on the straights. So as close as possible, tooth can put behind him. Take him on the straights. Seems to be a bit more reckless than me.
Yeah, definitely. With only 45 minutes or so remaining of now, each driver will definitely be. Oh, that sound of that gearbox from Sweden in that Porsche just sounds beautiful. But yes, he'll definitely be trying to get around this BMW. It's so close, leaving no room whatsoever. The angle of attack that Sweden's going on for these overtakes are just absolutely amazing. And we've got to start to think now: is Sweden going to be able to get past that M3? Phoenix, what do you reckon that best option to get past that M3 will be?
In the Porsche, probably around the Nurburgring. Long corners in the Nurburgring. Tight ones, slow down tight ones. Just that be a good race. Don't enough acceleration in the Porsche. So I think the Nurburgring and the long corners are the Nurburgring the best. So that's why I think on the straight to the mountain. Actually just extremely getting that pace to feel better. Oh, he's out, man. He's out.
Oh. And that will be an illegal overtake, I'd presume. Presuming, I don't know, he should let that BMW go through, or that will be a steward's inquiry, definitely, as Dan is into the pit lane now. It's definitely a...
Last pit stop, I'd say. So that's the beginning of the last pit stops.
That's going to be onto a set of soft compound tyres, I'd presume.
Yeah, probably.
Yes, and will we have to think that that it's going to be a well, what I'm trying to say is, will those soft tyres be able to hold out and give the pace that Dan needs to start to reel back in some positions? I mean, the next car to him is 11 minutes away, so that's not necessarily the best one to get into a round. But I'll give him props. It's not necessarily the easiest one either to get around. So at this stage, I don't know if he'll be able to get round, but we can only really hope at that stage. And that soft compounder tyres will wear away relatively quickly at this stage. So we've got to start to think, will he start to hold up other drivers that are coming through to be lapped? So,
and they'll have trouble getting heat in them in the morning as well. They'll have trouble getting heat in damage. They'll have trouble getting heat in tyres. So. But definitely better than the hards. The hards are even hard to get heat into them in the morning. So I'd definitely go with the softs myself. Get heat in them better.
Yeah, we'll definitely want to start to get some heat into these tyres and start to get them going as really as quickly as possible to try and get round the other cars as quickly as possible. But at this stage, you've got to start to think, will this car start to give up to you? He's in the pit lane for a hell of a long time. Why is it so long?
I think it's fuel. I'm not sure though. Obviously, it could be anything.
Maybe it's damage. Yeah, they've not put any fuel pumps or anything like that on it. So it could be damage, or even better yet, it could be maybe some other thing. But yeah, it's very, very interesting at this stage.
Yes, I think Siphonitis fallen back, so Nico's defeating him to run an ID4 unmolested.
Yeah, I should probably keep in mind for everyone, we've only done 14 laps of this Grand Prix, and that's nowhere near like the real Grand Prix. But however, it was a very interesting one so far. We've still got 40 minutes to go in this race, so there's still a hell of a lot of time to still be able to keep the car going as long as possible, and try once again not to crash. We're coming into the early of the morning here, and this is where drivers are going to start to feel a little bit more comfortable coming out of the night time. But we've got to remember that the cars are still going to be quite cold. The tyres are just going to be starting to heat up, and really we should see some good times starting to be set in. Looks like there's not too much fog in the morning, nor too much cloud, so yeah, it's going to be very very interesting for these cars to just try and pull as much as possible. And that is Dennis off the track, and he has had a big crash right into the wall there in the second sector once again. I think on a crash start, that is around about crash 11 for Dennis. So yeah, it's very interesting. And if we are to see him come into the pit lane again, I think he'll probably need to think about going the fastest that he can go in the time frame that he has. Because if he doesn't start to go as fast as he can go, he's really going to start to struggle with the car and how it's going to react around corners. He understeers and hits the wall again there. So it's very, very interesting. Do you reckon, Phoenix, what do we think about that crash once again?
He's still not turning properly, I don't think. Maybe it's his vision, with the glass there. Maybe it's his vision. He's definitely not doing it all race, right? Turning back now.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's very interesting at this stage to see how he's doing it. It's very, very interesting. This stage that he's crashed this many times, and I reckon for the next race he's definitely going to have to start to rethink about how he's driving this Aston Martin and how he's going to be able to improve. I'd like to see the next race. I don't know if I'd be able to commentate it, but I'd be happy to watch it once again as we move on to Nico now. This car's a hell of a lot quieter than the Aston Martin from its deep tone, but yes, definitely this race is starting to come to an end with only 35 minutes or so left, rounding to the nearest number. I really could. But at this stage of the Grand Prix, everyone looks to practically settled in for their finishing spots, and how they're going to be able to finish this race around about at this time. So yeah, at this stage, everyone's got to start to be thinking about how they're going to be able to handle a car when everything starts to get up to temperature, and when we're going to start to see some fast laps. And I think that's Nico who's set the newest fast lap, which is an 8:06, which is very good, but he's still up by around about 9/10, which is not necessarily too big of a problem, but at this stage he's definitely having some problems. Definitely having some problems with the car and how it's acting to the way that he's driving. Nico's once again had a little bit of contact there, and looks like that rear tail light is out. And I think that is Reezy into the pit lane again. Now, will this be for a set of the new soft tyres, or has he crashed? I think that's the first time he's crashed.
Yeah, that's the first time he's crashed, yeah. It's damage, isn't it? I think he's in for damage. Should be damage, isn't it? He's at the wall. And Marcus just checking. He'll be dead, disappointed by that. He's had a good race. Very disappointed by that.
Yeah, he's had an absolutely amazing race, but unfortunately he was just unable to do anything with it. He comes home in P4 really. 35 minutes ago in the early morning he's turned off his lights, so he's back into business mode to try and get the most out of this car for now. A lot of the drivers are just going to be taking this one home and trying to be cool, calm and collective once again, and trying to finish out the rest of this Grand Prix as quickly as possible, really. And has we seen any drop of pace from ID Forgets?
Well, Nico's caught him up by 10 seconds now, so yeah, we're just pushing it and getting comfortable in his position. Must be too comfortable. Too comfortable in first or something. Nico's. Nico was catching just before the pit stop. Before the pit stop, Nico was catching as well. Yeah, I think it's Nico's day. Either Forgets his day. So.
Yeah, definitely is a bad one for Nico for now.
If I say that, but he's done a very clean race, a very consistent race. He's never had a problem. Very good race. Definitely our best driver of the race so far.
Probably have to agree with that one today. It's the drivers in his standings, but yeah, definitely it's a big problem for them at this stage right now. ID Forgets going down the big long straight. He's coming now to finish lap 14. So I reckon we'll get another 3-4 laps in. Do you reckon?
I'd say 4, yeah, 3, 4. So it's about 9 minutes. So 9 minutes laps, so 9, 7. 4 laps in. 4 laps.
And this is ID Forgets coming in. I mean, he's got a 6-minute gap to the car behind him, so why wouldn't you come in at this time that you've got the free space? And it's questionable that ID Forgets could be coming in for a set of the soft compound tyres and just trying to push it as long as possible. I'm presuming that's what he's going to do. Do you reckon that's what he's going to do, Phoenix?
I can't see any other option if he's coming in. It's too risky coming in, staying on the hards. Oh, he needs fuel.
Fuel, maybe?
Yeah, he's got
yeah.
Fuel. It's a bit risky coming in again if you're on the hards for the softs. Because you could get taken by Nico and I'd be able to get past him, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's what I was a little over scared about as well, because Nico coming down the main straight.
He's coming into the main straight now. The home straight.
Yeah, it's
he's out.
It's gonna be close. He's going full pace. Now ID Forgets going full pace as well. He's gonna get out in front of Nico. That's Dennis also into the pit lane there as well. That one was definitely a close one, and looks like Nico just followed behind. Nico's probably kicking himself that he would have liked to gone better in some places around the cars, but yeah, it's definitely at this stage a bit of a difficulty for Nico here, and he's going to definitely be trying to catch ID Forgets as quickly as possible. Do you reckon that's his main intention now?
Oh, would be mine, yeah. He's got 30 minutes to push ID Forgets into a mistake. I think Nico has... It's the only thing he can do, isn't it? It's the only thing he can do. I think he's only 2.5 seconds behind. He's on all the tyres though, isn't he? So I think he's on all the tyres, so maybe it's just a second because of all the tyres, but I think you've got to push it a little at least just to see if he can earn. Just see if he can earn, that's all.
Yeah, definitely. I'd probably have to ask you this question now. If we did see that Nico did come into the pits now, what type of time would he maybe start to be catching ID forgets around the Nordschleife arena, because those soft tyres, don't they wear quite quickly, I'd presume?
I think the best place in the rankings is, I just forget has been really clean and really, if you, I just forget to maintain his pace, the best place to be is to just take the corner, get the end of that.
Oh yes, yes sirree.
I'd say he's too far behind now.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to catch him now, especially with the damage that he's got now. With only 30 minutes remaining, this is practically our qualifying session. Once again, the drivers will have another 2 to 3 laps or so from now to get some fast lap times in. So let's see on how fast they're going to go as we follow Nico Zara around. So he's looking very consecutive. So a little spin. He's actually been looking quite alright within the current ways that he's been able to drive. He's started to push the limits a little bit of how it is. Excuse me, of how he's able to push, and definitely going to be trying to overtake and try and get an undertake on any other driver he can. So yeah, it's definitely very, very interesting at this stage.
I think as he forgets, doesn't do anything reckless, then he hasn't all race. He's only been reckless for all his race. And as he maintains his current form, could have a good day, have a good result.
Yeah.
Like this. Could have an excellent result if it remains like this. Needs to keep his concentration. Getting very difficult to concentration on that. It's been 2 hours already. I think people are starting to get really tired now.
Yes, definitely myself. I've started to get a little bit tired. My arms started to hurt, things like that. But these guys have nothing on me. Both of them. No, these guys have more than me. All these guys, you got to remember, have been driving for a long, long time in and out of different conditions, and definitely struggling with some sorts of wear, either to their physical body and to their car, obviously. But we started with 13, we finished practically with 10, I presume. So a lot of these guys will definitely want to be pushing. And yeah, it's at this stage a very interesting way to finish a Grand Prix, with a lot of cars struggling now, and definitely physically now. What Phoenix, what does this do to a driver an endurance race like this?
Well, it's really hard to when once the tiredness sets in, it's really hard to time the corner. You just pray for the straights, really, because you get really tired. Your mind starts to wander a little bit. And you think about rest. I think whoever's got the best capability of maintaining the concentration is going to claim a very big advantage. Because mistakes will start to happen, because it's corner after corner very quickly, and most people don't jump the lights and once quickly then you off, and I've lost my position now. This is that
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Lost my position there because of the sound side. I don't know what I was saying now. The sound scared me, it's like the music and the thing scared me, I've lost my position.
No, that's fine. Sorry about that. My phone went off and I didn't expect it. Yeah, going off what you were saying though, with how the drivers are feeling, I reckon they're relatively tired at this stage. You know, fatigue's starting to set in. You're starting to feel a little bit drowsy. You're starting to, you know, if another car's around you, you're starting to forget that it's there, or you're just starting to kind of slouch off with your driving standards. That's one thing that a driver definitely has to tackle. As a kid that races myself, it's a definitely thing that you have to tackle with. And ID forgets getting a little greasy on the grass there, and having a little bit of a moment for a second there. Should probably also mention that I think is it Denise? I can't remember.
Dennis.
Danny is sorry, Danny is still not coming
he's
into
just
pit
staying
lane.
there, isn't he? He's just staying there. I think he's just retiring. Just staying in the pit lane.
Well, that's very interesting. That stage, just for the Aston Martin to retire like that. Really interesting. He's 42 minutes behind apparently from the leader. So yeah, it's very, very interesting to see him just retire out like that. So yeah, maybe he's just given up and decided he'd continue on his
they're very, very bored for that, aren't they?
Yeah.
Everyone else has had a battle. Everyone else has been battling. The Dan has just been in no man's land the whole race. All 2 hours and 5 minutes. He's been on his own. He's definitely
that could
tired.
have been bad.
Tiredness starting to tell there, I think.
Yeah, he got up on the curbing and then nearly locked the front there, and that could have been skidding into the wall. But no options there. The marshals are doing a very good job here, and he's disconnected. That was very interesting. So now there was 10, and then there was 9. So the next car behind him is Lonnie. Sorry, in front of him was Lonnie. So Lonnie doing a very, very good job along this back straight now. Only 23 minutes to go, so the Grand Prix is coming to a abrupt ending quite soon. And every driver, why is he revving out 5th gear so much? Don't really know. There we go. Now he shifts up into 6 as he goes up the hill. It's so interesting. Maybe he's got
damage there, see?
yeah.
He's gonna come in again. I come in again myself. I just come in again because he's having big problems.
Yeah, I'd come in, strap on a new set of tires, and go out for another lap and see how much time I can gain for it. Sorry about that, and how much time I can gain for it in the next couple of minutes. But we need to remember the lap times around here out of the pit lane is probably about a 10-minute lap time. So you have to leave yourself some good working time to move around in the car. And you can see there the standings for right now. I believe the other lap was a 1:07 set by Kasumi. Sorry. But the new lap record is now 8 minutes and 6 seconds, so a very fast time for an endurance race from Nico, who seemed to be pushing in the last hour or so. So he's been doing a very good job to keep maintaining his position over the Grand Prix stint so far. But yeah, otherwise I think that's someone coming out of the pit lane there. I'm not sure on who it is. I think, yeah, that's Lonnie coming out of the pit lane now, who he got a new wing and things like that. So yeah, so Lonnie's now slowing down for some reason. Stalled the car, letting Cypher come through, which was a little bit interesting there from Lonnie. Don't know what that was about, but whatever suits you, mate. A lot of interesting stopping and starting here at the Grand Prix. It's from a perspective, Lonnie looks maybe just to be asking for a bit of a tow for the next for the lap that he's about to do, but he's left it a long way for a tow, but we won't judge. Maybe it's a bit of a long distance tow. We don't really know just yet. Bloody next car to him is, I think it's DJ Luke, the next car to him. So, yeah, still quite some time, and I've just accidentally thrown my phone on the floor. But yes, it's definitely an interesting one in the Grand Prix so far. Now, Phoenix, how have you felt through the Grand Prix personally? I'm probably sure that some fatigue for you is probably starting to set in.
Yeah, I'm just getting a little bit tired. It's now 10:30. I'm normally getting now 10:30 here. I'm getting a bit tired now. So I think I'm not as young as I used to be. I remember staying up all the time when I was young, racing and stuff, but I can't do it now. So yeah, getting a bit tired, and I think the drivers will be feeling the same. Over the course of the race, I'd say that the things have been entertaining. We had position changes and battles all through the field,
and crashes.
And spins, and we've had all sorts of them. We had a very interesting race. Lots of changing positions.
Yeah, definitely a lot of change in positions, and with only 20 minutes or so remaining now, it'll be to start to come down to the final couple of laps at this stage. With a lot of drivers starting to push the limits a little bit more to see what they can get out of the car. Still, a lot of cars having a little bit of problems and things like that. So yeah, it's very, very interesting to see them start to compete like this and trying to push as much as possible. So yeah, it's very, very interesting at the forefront here, as all the drivers still start to get ready to do a fast lap. I'd presume, or maybe just trying to bring it home, most of these guys. But we can only hope that's probably what they're trying to do, as we never really know. Would you predict that some drivers are about to do some fast laps?
I'd say Nico's got to try at least. Always trying. He's in second, he's got pressure on third, that's his job. You can't just let him off first, can you know what I mean?
Yeah.
DJ Luke's a little bit behind the hiker. I think he could push as well. I think it's realistic for him to push as well. Maybe Razy on Marcos. I think drivers should start to feel a little tiredness. I think it's a bit risky with the pushing down north, but with the tiredness setting in, I don't know, it depends on how you feel. If you're feeling confident in your car, then I think you should definitely push, but so it depends how you feel about the tiredness, your ability to keep going.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree there. I just had a very big yawn and I nearly just voiced it into the mic. So yes, it was very dangerous from there. But yeah, from my perspective for right now, a lot of the drivers still dealing with a lot of stress and tiredness now, and I should probably still mention I should probably still mention that a lot of drivers are still trying to gain position. Obviously, ID forgets, still sitting up the front with Nico following on behind with Cypher Knight 77. Cypher Knight 77 just following on behind from Nico. Then we have Marcos in the Ford, still just following behind, good pace. And then after that we have Rizzy Real, obviously our host here today in that Corvette, doing very, very well. Not too much damage from his car, still able to keep the car very, very alive throughout this Grand Prix. and how everything's feeling mentally. After that, I believe it's hijacker of Sweet sitting up the front of his, not of his league, but of who's been racing, and then next to that we have DJ Luke, who's theoretically to go quicker, and then behind him we have Lonnie, who is not doing great in his LMP3 class, being outperformed by all the GT3 cars, GTE cars. And then behind that we have Dennis, who's obviously still sitting in the pit lane, as happy as can be. His pit crew's actually just gone away because they've given up on him.
I think he's having a McDonald's, don't you?
Yeah, he's sitting there with the clutch running. He's listening to some smooth 91.5 and having a nice cappuccino.
Yeah.
At around about 7:30 in the morning. Oh, Nico's in the pit lane.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he is. I think that might have been for fuel. He's off and running now.
That wouldn't have been for tyres, it was cheap work, so I think a little top of that was fuel. So it's about
I think he also might have got a taste of that cappuccino that the Aston Martin driver had, but I think he's ready to go now. I could really do with some coffee right now, but yeah, 14 minutes remaining. This will be the final couple of laps from the driver, maybe two laps or so, until the drivers will be able to finish the race, and that's the aim here, to finish at the checkered flag with 9 drivers. We started with 13, we lost 4, and we're gonna finish theoretically now with 9 drivers. There we go, with 9 drivers. And they're all gonna try and finish the race in spectacular fashion, and obviously gonna try and sorry about that, and be able to make the percentage by the end of the race, to get down practically until they're at their bones width on the tires, on the fuel, on the everything, and be able to get through, speed the traction the way that they're able to make the end of the Grand Prix with the most amount of confidence and speed that they can. Yeah, everyone trying to do as much as possible to finish the race as quickly as possible. ID forgets getting a good couple of runs to this middle sector. He could be up on his lap, I don't know, we'll find out when he hits the sector splits. But by the end of this race, he'll definitely be looking for the option to try and get round the outside of his lap and be able to try and set the best time that he could, without losing too much pace once again. So yeah, it's definitely very, very interesting at this stage of the Grand Prix, with only 12 minutes now. We've burned off 2 minutes to go, and yeah, it's definitely getting very hyper now as he's got up to the BMW M3 to try and get going as quickly as possible, and he's going to have to navigate that BMW M3 as he gives him a little flash there for the BMW to get out of the way. Oh, that was risky, and there he is in the mirrors, so he's gotten out of the way, which is very good. That was a little bit risky, and then he says thank you with the lights once again. And what do we think of that little blue flag moment?
It was okay. Yeah, got out of the way. DJ Luke got out of the way quite quickly. I think it was nice and safe. Yeah, that's nice and simple. Maybe that, I think no one hit the walls, no one. DJ Luke did
yeah, if it was me, I wouldn't get too, yeah, got out of the way. That's the main thing. I think that's the only lap car we've seen get lapped today, besides being in the pit lane.
Yes,
So that's very interesting to see from these guys. But yeah, it's getting to the very end of the Grand Prix. 10 minutes to go. We started with 2 hours and 30 minutes, and then the countdown started, and this is what it all comes to now. With final 10 minutes as the drivers try to put in their best lap times they can with what they're able to do. Excuse me. And yeah, Phoenix, do you have any predictions maybe for the fastest lap from now? Will there be anyone to go any faster than this?
Nico just came in from pit stop. I think it'll be Nico himself. He's got the fastest lap anyway. And so he just came in. And he's the time target. ID4 is just taking in nice and slow. Well, not slow, but nice and consistent and easy. Nothing rash. I don't think ID4 gets it. It'd be stupid to push it down and go for the best. Very stupid. Just bring it on home. Time needs to go. You've raced for 2 hours and 20 minutes. You don't want to do it in the last 10 minutes by pushing just for the fastest lap. I think it'd be Nico. You get that who's more than likely to do it.
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree. He's probably more than likely to do it. So yeah, definitely going to be a interesting one for these drivers here. Yeah, it's definitely very interesting Grand Prix so far as we come to the closing ends now. Only around about 8 minutes to go, and every driver is pushing so hard. You can definitely see by the way that Nico's driving now. He started to push in that little last effort to try and go as fast as possible. The fastest lap so far within the last laps from other drivers. That's a bit of bodywork sitting on the apex of I think that was turn 20. No, it's a bigger turn than that. I think that was turn 60 something or other. I don't remember. And yeah, Nico's definitely still pushing as hard as he possibly can. So he'll definitely want to be trying to get the optimum out of that car. Dennis is back on the track, and DJ Luke is a little bit laggy for me. I don't know if he is for you. But, and the number 44 driver, not necessarily great. Looks like he's damaged himself once again, and it's very interesting. I don't know if he's just sitting there for you on the screen like me, but he's just sitting there vibrating, which is very interesting. Yep, there he goes.
I'll be very frustrated.
So yeah, no.
2 hours and 20 minutes and disconnected. I'd be very frustrated by that. Very frustrated, especially in the points.
I think I would be as well.
Especially in the points as well. Very frustrated by that. I think his PlayStation's in danger of leaving the room now. Out the window.
Yeah. Good luck, PlayStation. R.I.P. PlayStation. Alright, let's start the hashtag.
Yeah, I think maybe some swearing going on right now, maybe.
Yes, definitely. Yes, a lot of drivers still remaining in the Grand Prix. 8 drivers still down. We started with 13, now we're with 8. As we see Nico, we're back on board with him once again, or sorry, back off board with him once again, as Cypher is still not able to catch up to him, still a 2-minute gap behind. 6 minutes to go now, so a lot of drivers will definitely be trying to this will probably be the last lap for Nico, and same for ID for Gets. These guys will be finishing it on lap 18. I'm presuming also Cyphers as well.
Should be,
so yes, it'll be
Cypher and
they will be definitely finishing on
not this lap,
their lap now. Yeah, the next lap, yeah. I gotcha. So, yeah, they'll definitely be able to go out and set the fastest times. They will at this stage. This will be the last time that these guys will be able to do what they're going to do, and try and push the car as much as possible. At this stage, it's definitely going to be a very, very interesting one. See who's going to snag maybe the fastest lap, or maybe even get the slowest lap. We don't know just yet. But yes, for right now, it's very interesting. Part of the final couple of minutes here in the Nurburgring 24 hours that we've been running. So one needs to start to question who is going to be the fastest man on track, and who's going to be able to get out as quickly as possible on the track. So yeah, these are the times that we were just taking a look at, and then we take a squiz at the times once again. So yes, the fastest lap still being held by Nico, which is a 8 minute 6.7. His last lap was an 8 minute 41, so he's a little bit off the pace. Looks like ID Forget's being consistent on lap 17, Dennis on lap 12, so still a long way behind. Dennis still is, as everyone's still following through very gingerly. And we'll go back to our live coverage now of the cars off the timer screen, and we'll take a look at ID Forget through the final 4 minutes of this lap. These guys will definitely be pushing the limits as he comes through the second sector now. You can see that he's just he's on the edge of grip, on the edge of pace, really on the edge of hope, and how he's gonna be able to drive the car as quickly as possible around this track. ID Forget's hoping to claim out the fastest lap of this Club Series race around the Nurburgring. Definitely with 20.5 laps of fuel, he's definitely going to make it to the end. 3 minutes to go, and I reckon there's about 3 minutes worth of track space left. So he will be, if everything goes to plan, will be a race winner for today in the LMP3 class. We finish out with 1, 2, 3, 4 GTE cars and 1, 2, 3, 4 LMP3 cars. So equal on each half from the from each of these 8 drivers, doing a very consistent job for nearly over 2 hours and 28 minutes now. Sorry, nearly just under 2 hours and 30 minutes now. So all these drivers starting to come through. I believe there's a lap car that ID Forgets is coming up to one of the, I think it might be one of the GTE cars, but we don't know. Hopefully he won't invade ID Forgets' lap. Oh, he runs wide, that's a wall there that might have invalidated the lap. We don't know. On lap 18 here, as they go around the carousel, that LMP3 car looks so stable now, after getting a little bit more in depth into the Grand Prix. It's got his lights on. He's shown what he's got here at the Nurburgring. He's been able to catch up to the car in front of him relatively quickly. Will this be any blue flag scenarios? Hopefully not. And he's just able to come through for a clean lap past the second carousel there. I think there's actually a third one coming up. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I can't stop yawning. But yes, Phoenix, anything to add? That was quite popular for you for this Grand Prix?
Not really, just very expected. Lots of action and lots of crashes, basically. That's what I expected. I expected lots of rough and tumble, and I've been disappointed. But yeah, I think mostly very good driving all around. Really, the tide as well, and the night as well. Most of them. There was only 2 crashes in the night. And very good driving.
I'd definitely have to agree with that one. There, Phoenix, as we come through the final little sector at the track. Porsche 911 of Sweden is just in front of Adi Forgets. He looks relatively calm. Hopefully he gets out of the way if Adi Forgets, so he can do a little bit of weaving on the straight down the third carousel there, and out of the third carousel. We're having a little bit of air time there, damaging a little bit under the main floor. But yeah, everyone, now there's that black board once again as they come out onto the long straight. Will the LMP3 be able to have the run on the Porsche? Definitely do. They're going to go side by side. That's a perfect screenshot right now as they're about to come over the line. As I take a little bit of a cheeky screenshot, the Porsche 911 moves back into the background, giving a little bit of a flash. They are, which was a little nice. But ID Forgets it's going to be your man to win the Nurburgring 24 hours here on the Gavra Racing round 11. The club series is going to come through the final corner now, and this is your Grand Prix winner. ID Forgets in the LMP3 car. He's very happy. He comes across the line to win the Nurburgring 24 hours here. Boys have been racing for 2 hours and 30 minutes, and here's our Grand Prix winner, and he's very happy with that, doing a couple of little burnouts he was, as round 11 is now concluded. The LMP3 driver is our winner, and the GTE driver of Marquez, I keep saying Marquez. Marquez is going to be your winner in the GTE class. But your top three as follows is ID Forgets, Nico Zavra, Cypher Knight 77, and those are your top three drivers. The GTE drivers closing out is Cypher Knight, not Cypher Knight, Marcos, Rizzy Real, and Hijacker of Sweden. There we go. Hiker of Sweden. You can just hijack Sweden. Anyway, those are the finishes for our race today. Please feel free to check out the Gavra Racing YouTube channel, which you're currently on right now. Also, don't forget to check out our website as well, and also feel free to sign up for any of the leagues you feel interested in, and you have the games for Nico Zavra destroying the car there. Looks a little bit frustrated, and that was a suspension arm flying right at our camera. So he's going to come across the line now to close out second place, and I don't think Cypher is going to be able to come across the line to finish in third place there, but he will finish in third place, just not across the line, as Nico Zavra just gives up there. Everyone completed now. 30 seconds remaining. There's Cypher in his beautiful coloured car. Unfortunately, our main girl, I think Suki, that's what her name was. Suki wasn't able to finish the race there. She was looking very good to go, but unfortunately, a couple of crashes with our man in the GT3 car. So yeah, very interesting as the Porsche of Mr. Sweden, and that is the finish of our race. We'll go through the final order here as we just wait. So the British man of ID Forgets in the LMP3 class finishes out in P1, with Nico Zavra there in P2, the young Japanese finishing out in the LMP3 class on lap 18 in P2, whereas Cypher, the young Danish, I think that is.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Yeah. Coming out in P3, the GT3 class dominated by Marcos in the Ford. The Dutchman looking very good. The New Zealander, my man Rizzy Real, coming out in P5 with the young Swede there in P6. LMP3 guys of Loney coming out there in P7. Dennis in the Aston Martin coming out there in P4, and the retiree of Fia Mule coming out in the other LMP3 in P9. So yes, a very, very good race. A couple of little penalties here and there from everyone, but I want to thank you all for joining me today for the also beautiful round 11, 24 hours of the Nurburgring Nordschleife, and I also want to thank you there, Phoenix, for live streaming for us and also being here. I'll let you end it off, mate, and thank you for a great race, everyone.
Yeah, I think that was rather fun. Thanks for your commentary tonight. Guns and Tortoise. It was a very fun evening for me. I know it's morning for you, but I think you still got the day to go, haven't you? But I think it was very interesting, very interesting, and I think ID4 gets well deserved that victory myself. Very nice, very clean, and very accomplished actually. That that drive from ID4 gets very deserving winner, and I'll thank you. Second everything that you said. Guns and Tortoise has said, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.